navigate this for a minute. Oh, righty. All right, so good afternoon, good morning, good evening. This is DSP News, the unreliable ones. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the newsroom and welcome to the Goutopia News Network, your unreliable source for DSP News. This is the Snort Report brought to you by SnortBucks Coffee Company, the best beverage company. Let's go! So, hopefully you guys are doing all right and whatnot. Hopefully everything's going all right with y'all. Everything's going okay. And I feel good. I feel good. And hopefully you guys are feeling all right yourselves. The nonsense just kept proceeding with this shit. Like I said, I'm recording this late on the 23rd. I didn't even watch today's podcast yet, so I'll wait and see what happened with that nonsense if he said anything. But in particular, we're going to speak on this nonsense that DSP said yesterday on the 22nd of April, as it pertains to his final thoughts on smart guys, at least for the time being, and this new idea that he has rehashed for this variety content, a podcast that would actually take the place of gameplay, at least that particular day. If he can make it be successful, he'll do it in the long term, but there's no real way. I don't honestly think he'll ever really give up games, nor do I expect him to. But he does need to scale it back because it's not really helping him. He's more of a deficit to himself than anything else. Truth be told, he might as well get in the drama content or talk that shit for as long, if he can, and whatnot, and see how much further that will take him. In any case, let's go ahead and jump into, that's what's on the menu, so let's go ahead and jump into my favorite segment, hopefully your favorite segment, or at least one of them anyway. Let's see here. Is it? Is that it? There we go. Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, sorry for that. Sorry for that delay. Welcome to my TED Talk. So, we're going to go over a segment, two segments actually, coming out of the Bottom Bitch podcast, aka the Daily Therapy Session, aka the Level 1, where DSP talks about his gripes and how he felt let down, let down for all the time and effort he put into his big post-WrestleMania show, and the birth on the fly, really, it seems like someone recommended it to him on stream, and then he just ran with it on this new variety show, which, as I said I'll name the segment later, that came out yesterday, at least it should have came out yesterday. It's just a rehashing of DSP Reacts. Just now, they'll deal with direct topics instead of reacting to videos, i.e., if you have a video to go along with the topic, I guess he'll watch it and then go from there. And as I said in the, I'll name the segment later, how's he going to monetize it? How is he going to convince people to buy in to it? That's my real question. Because he's going to try to figure out a way to monetize it outside of them trying to hit the tips goal. So my question is how is he going to pull that off? So, and obviously he hasn't figured that out yet. So in turn, we have to induce the pignosis over multiple streams, over multiple weeks, I'm guessing, until he can figure out how to do it. He also mentioned that, he's much more well-versed with OBS now, which is weird since he's been using it damn near since the beginning, damn near. But now he has a better understanding of OBS in conjunction with Discord. So he would be willing to, he would want to bring people into the conversation. I said he's just trying to emulate that one dent that's out there who's making a name for himself, and he's just going to try to make himself another dent and then try to go about that way, which I'm pretty confident that's what he's trying to do. Excuse me. He's not going to allow anybody real to go up there and talk to him because DSP still has PTSD from the Hate Live days, where, you had guys some of those guys were part of SOK back in those days, now I think about it, who came up there and memed on his ass and all kinds of shit. So if you got to heavily vet the people that you're supposed to be trying to have a conversation with, then you're not really trying to have a conversation. You're trying to dictate terms and conditions. And if he can do that, then essentially he can have you see the conversation any way he sees fit. And I think that's really what he's going for. He's not going for an open discussion. This isn't an open forum. This is a dictatorship, and you guys just need to fall in line, and that's probably all it's going to ever be. In any case, let me not hold you guys off any longer with this shit. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. And let's see here. I guess we can go back with that with a nice a nice smooth setting. You know what I'm saying? Let's do that. It's a nice smooth setting. All right. So this particular cut was made by yours truly, which means it's going to be a bit jarring, probably. It's not. It may not be great. It may not be great. Just putting it out there now. So let's see here.
Right?
See, Phil agrees with me.
Right?
This might be a rough cut. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, this particular stream, I should say, was brought to us by Raw Phil. Big ups. Yet again, it was cut by me. Womp womp. And Diggs, you're already missed. And let's go ahead and get into our situation. What did I actually name this? Let's see here. DSP speaks on the end of Smart Guys again, and a new show / podcast idea. This is from April 22nd of 2025, the year of the snake eater. And yeah, that's where we're at, to be honest with you. So let's go ahead and get into the situation. I won't hold you guys up any longer. Here we go.
Right? It's just the stupid Oblivion gates are the most annoying part. Outside of that, the game's superb. I really liked that playthrough. So, okay. Let's see here. Dan Zach with a $2 super.
Oh yeah, let me speak on that really fast. That shit was hilarious. So, the new Oblivion came out right yesterday or the day before, whatever. Came out on this particular day, 22nd, and everybody was out there playing it. Everybody wanted to see the upscaling. Everybody wanted to see how it moved and flowed and everything like that. DSP decided to play it on the night stream because he wanted to play whatever game it was, Blue something, during the day, and he thought he was on some type of roll as it pertains to the donations for this particular game. So he's like, oh, well, this will guarantee that he'll hit the tips goal in the morning. He'll do Oblivion in the evening, and everything's gonna be all good. He didn't hit the morning goal, if I remember correctly, and he was bitching and complaining pretty heavily about Oblivion that evening. So I don't know if he hit that either. Not good. Not good. When you have the majority of people asking you, during the Bottom Bitch podcast that, hey, let's just go ahead and play Oblivion. You can always finish that other game off later. It came out that day. Everybody was playing it. You should have put yourself into the algorithm for it. But he didn't. And he fucked around and he found out. So, great business sense on Dark Side Phil's part. You know what I'm saying? You got a demand out there, and you don't want to be you don't want to sit there and fall to other people's demands because you're the business owner. Fuck what the business wants, or what the what the patrons of that business wants. It's all about what you feel like doing because of his autistic schedule, right? And he sat there, screwed himself, and I don't think he made any money that day. So, and I just finished watching Snort Burnell's video, and they caught something actually in that video. It was a fantastic catch about the what's the name of that game? Oh, I can't think of the name of the game now. If I remember, I'll cut it in right around this mark. But he caught the Snort Burnell caught the DSP slipping, and the way DSP kind of it sounds, it does sound like DSP didn't mean to, but he kind of admitted to smudging some of the tips for a particular game. So they weren't actually hitting the tips goals on this game in particular. He was fudging the numbers and shit. Like I said, if I remember, I'll cut it in. Big ups to Snort Burnell for that catch. And it's icky. It's icky. So I'm not sure where you guys are at in the conversation or in the debate really on whether DSP is faking tips or not. But this was a pretty interesting piece of evidence to add to the evidence that's already been accumulated. So just something to think about. But like I said, if I remember to, I'll throw it in somewhere around here.
Yeah, guys, $52 to hit our goal and get back on track. We have not hit a goal in 2 days. It would be great to hit the goal on this stream. We're in position to do it. We haven't had a contribution in an hour, guys. So please, let's get some contributions. Let's get it moving. We still have over an hour left on stream today. All right, I've apparently exposed myself again. There you go. I've exposed myself again, guys. I completely exposed myself. There you go. I've been exposed. Guys, we're...
Chad says, I'm hyped for Blue Prince King. Well, thank you, Dan Zach. I'm glad that you are. And you see what I mean? Like, it seems like this is one of those situations that we're going to have fun today no matter what. It's going to be a great day. But no matter which choice I make of which stream to play Oblivion, there's going to be people who are happy and there's going to be people who are disappointed. Cypress TV with a $10 super chat says, great Smart guys yesterday. And I vote for Oblivion on this stream. Okay, thank you, Cypress TV. Thank you for the support and thank you for your input. Okay.
Damn, he kind of got the Papa Vera treatment and whatnot. If you guys remember when Minecraft started back up, Papa Vera allegedly ended up showing back up into the mix or whatnot, and he kind of got the cold shoulder, which is crazy if you guys know Papa Vera's history and his history with Minecraft when DSP was on Twitch. It's a shame, but DSP doesn't appreciate nobody. He's not loyal to nobody. No one should be surprised.
Well, $40 of support already is pretty darn good. Thank you all. All right, here's what we want to do. We're going to talk about Oblivion, but I want to talk about yesterday, and I want to talk about Smart guys first, all right? Then we could do the Oblivion stuff, and then we could come to terms on everything else and figure it out on when we're doing what, okay? So let's do it. Let's talk about yesterday, all right? Let's talk about Smart guys. Yesterday was my Smart guys episode 14, which was the WrestleMania 41 Super Show. This was a 4-hour endeavor of me completely covering match by match everything that went down during WrestleMania 41 both nights, plus 2 special guests live, the input of Cypress TV.
This sounds like a terrible example or emulation, really, or imitation of a Gouty board meeting and shit, and mad that he couldn't get people to invest. That's literally what this feels like. This is terrible. This doesn't sound like something that he's proud of. It sounds like something that other people should have found value in and should have bought into. It sounds disingenuous as hell. But it's par for the course.
On the fly as well. It was a big undertaking, the logistics of it, to get it set up and everything, watching all of that wrestling over the weekend. And I had told you guys about...
But I thought you were incredibly hyped for WrestleMania, though. So, like, how is it a burden for something that you allegedly was hype and excited for, something you were looking forward to? That's what he told PPP. That's what he told the mother fellas. And semantics.
About it, and I had hyped it up. I mean, having these guest hosts over the last month hyped up the big WrestleMania event, right? It lasted a long time. It was fun to do. I'll be honest, I feel like that was...
Yeah, you sound like you had a good time. Yeah, you look it and you sound like it. You had a great time, Phil.
Was the best episode of Smart Guys 2025. The reason being, no drama whatsoever, full coverage of the entire event.
Imagine after all this time, you still have a hair up your ass about PvP and Keto Casino. Let it go. But truth be told, he misses the money. That's what it is. He misses the money. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how much his income has dropped since that departure and whatnot, but I would say at least half in Eddie Murphy's voice. Half for sure. For sure. He ain't taking a hit. Oh boy, he ain't taking a hit. I bet he regret that shit now.
And multiple different people's takes on the matches, and some of them we really disagreed. Like, for example, I thought the Jey Uso Gunther match was good, but sadly it crushes Gunther, but I liked how it went down. I also did not like the Tiffany Charlotte match, but I really liked the triple threat match of the women's title on the second night. And I also thought that the main event of night 1 wasn't very good because the ending had been spoiled already by the entire internet. Most of the hosts disagree with me. A lot of people hated that Jey Gunther match. A lot of people loved the main event of night 1 and thought it was the best thing of both nights. So that's the good thing.
No, it's not. Because look at his actual reaction. Like, he looks shocked. He almost, I wouldn't say he feels offended, but you can tell he is very much taken back on the idea that people didn't agree with him. But keep in mind, this is the same fucking idiot who says he hasn't been paying attention to wrestling for 5 years. So you're not as invested. You don't actually understand the business in the ways that other people do. So what made you think they were going to agree with your milquetoast take, to be honest with you? But whatever, it is what it is. I mean, he has the right to his opinion, and it is what it is. But I'll be damned that you should think everybody should agree with you. You think everybody who fucking watches these videos agree with everything I say? And I don't hold that against them. I'm not supposed to. You know what I'm saying? The whole point is to have a conversation, you know what I'm saying? And for everybody to feel the same way. If not, then everybody's going to be a fucking drone. But that's what DSP actually wants. So he kind of exposed himself, if you think about it.
Guys, 2025. The reason being, no drama whatsoever, full coverage of the entire event, and multiple different people's takes on the matches, and some of them we really disagreed. Like, for example, I thought the Jey Uso Gunther match was good, but sadly it crushes Gunther, but I liked how it went down. I also did not like the Tiffany Charlotte match, but I really liked the triple threat match of the women's title on the second night. And I also thought that the main event of night one wasn't very good because the ending had been spoiled already by the entire internet. Most of the hosts disagree with me. A lot of people hated that Jey Gunther match. A lot of people loved the main event.
Wait, why were you going out of your way to watch stuff about wrestling on the internet before everything came out? He could have avoided all those things, right? He could have done that. He could have stalked the guys in the FGC. He could have circulated himself around detractor Twitter, and he wouldn't have had to worry about himself being spoiled. It sounds like he searched that stuff out. I'm just saying. I don't know for sure, but I'm just saying it seems kind of suspicious.
Of night one, and thought it was the best thing of both nights. So that's the good thing about having guests and co-hosts. It's not just one person in an echo chamber talking. It's other opinions, other feedback, and I think that made the show that much better to have it like that. Okay? Now,
keep in mind, this is the same guy who says that he's on an island of his own. He only cares about doing his own content. He doesn't want to deal with other people. But then he's going to try to pass this off to you like, you see, Dent, you get it? You understand? Like, he makes it seem like everybody else is the problem. Like, he always understood this frame of mind, this business, this way of doing content, I should say. You know what I'm saying? And doing collabs and shit like that. And it's the audience's fault that he never actually had a chance to do it. They were holding him back. Peep it. Peep the Gouty game on this shit.
it was my entire first stream, and I really enjoyed it. And I think viewership-wise, it did good. You know, on YouTube, it did decent. On Kick, it did decent. But we didn't hit my support goal for the whole stream. That includes the podcast and Smark guys, okay? So I want to get you guys to just understand my perspective here, all right? Getting back.
I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. That's hilarious. I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. Oh shit, Phil. That's slimy. That's so very slimy.
Back into Smark guys, I was already skeptical about it because I wasn't sold that people were going to care that much about my opinions on pro wrestling when I had been so far removed from pro wrestling.
No one cares about your opinion of anything except for assholes like myself. Outside of that, no one really gives a shit about your opinions in like the grand scheme of things, right? Like, I've said this before, but let me reiterate this. This is niche level shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we're literally occupying this super fucking small part of the internet and shit. Yes, DSP's giggles and shit. Well, detractor content, I should say. Not DSP's content, really, but detractor content does pollinate outside of our sphere, right? Outside of this niche thing. You know what I'm saying? But in the overall, no one thinks about DSP like that. No one cares. You know what I'm saying? You talking to people like normies, right? When you speak to a normie, or you even speak to a casual, when you think of DSP, you think of always saying something stupid, he's raging, or something to mock him for. And that's pretty much it. There's nothing else outside of that. The fact that he believes that there's something more to that means he literally fell for his own pignosis when he was preaching that bullshit all those months ago about how there's a resurgence, that he's going through he's having his second coming, he's going through his new renaissance, and that the internet has forgiven him and they now want to embrace him. He literally fell for his own pignosis. He believed his own lie. That's just fantastic. It's pathetic. It's pathetic as hell. But it's pretty fantastic when you think about it in the grand scheme.
I always knew that part of the gimmick of Smart Guys coming back was having PPP as my co-host. I knew that we were going to basically get like a bump of attention from the Keno Casino viewership. And that did happen at first.
And that's really all he wanted. All he wanted was to tap into their viewership and into their pockets. And that's really all he wanted. And then he would still have the protection of Keno Casino if he chose to branch out. But he didn't. He got complacent, he got comfortable, and he wanted to stay with the easy money. So, and that's why everything else is dropping. That's the whole reason why he's willing to try new shit, because the money just is, the support's not there. The support's not there. And it's getting smaller and smaller by the day. And yet again, I'm early on, or by now, you should have seen the Snort Burnell clip where, like I said, Snort Burnell, big ups, had a fantastic catch on DSP may have exposed himself that in a recent playthrough, he was faking tips on there. But keep in mind, right, the faking tips narrative has been around since, 2018, 2019, certainly 2020. Certainly 2020. You know, so this isn't something new. This has been around for an incredibly long time. Truth be told, one of the greatest examples of this, if I can find it, I'll try to put it in here. Christmas of 2017, to be honest with you, how Santa gave me $1,000 tip. That right there in itself was the most fraudulent bullshit. And people later on on that stream was asking him, hey, did it come through? Did it come through? And he was quick to brush it off. You know what I'm saying? He just said whatever he needed to say to get the momentum going. You've heard DSP basically use that term before. So, and I think, I'm sure Tevin reacted to that. So if I can find that, like even Tevin will tell you this, because I'll try to say this verbatim, but I'm going to have to wing it a bit. At that time, DSP was using a program called Muxy. Muxy still exists to this day. And in Muxy, you could do test tips. You could still do that in a bunch of different stuff now. And he just kind of put it out there. And funny enough, I don't remember if it showed up on screen or not, because DSP said, do you guys see that? Do you guys see that? Do you guys see that? And I don't think it ever actually showed up. So if it did, then it was more than likely just a test donation, but he never mentioned it after that. So it's not like, and that's just one example of many. So the point being is that this isn't out of DSP's wheelbarrow, you know what I'm saying, to fake tips. Wouldn't be surprised by it at all. And truth be told, in the argument that I made all those years ago, is it really a big deal for him to fake two or three tips or whatever, if he can pull the rest? Let me reword that. Let's remix it. Yeah. So the tip goal is what? Every 10 tip goals, they get a DSP tries it. Does it really matter to DSP that he skips or that he fakes 3 to 5 tips to actually secure the other 5 so he can get the DSP tries it? I need you to kind of work with me a little bit on this. I'm not saying that you have to agree with me, but what I'm saying is I need you to kind of see my perspective. This idiot, this mongoloid, I could see him faking 3 to 5 different tip goals to secure the other 5 to keep it pushing. Funny enough, now that I'm bringing all this up, are you guys keeping up with that LTG DDG drama where LTG is accusing this dude of basically botting subs and views and probably followers too on Twitch? It's a really, really interesting thing, and that shit's gonna keep going. The interesting part that no one seems to be bringing up though is DDG had a problem with that dude Bruce. I don't know if his name was Bruce Almighty or whatnot. I can't think of what his name is, but he was beefing with this guy Bruce, and that dude was real popular back, a few years ago. And then he had a couple of situations. I don't want to necessarily call them crash outs, but he had a couple situations. He had a fallout with some of those really big guys over there. He's been kind of MIA for a while now, but he got into it with that dude, DDG, and they were going back and forth, for a while. But there was a time, only recently, because I was watching an LTG video, it must have been only a couple months ago, where when LTG said that when he was going through his slump, and he was like really down in the dumps, that Bruce was one of the few people who reached out to him and was like, yo, man, just keep your head up, things will get better, you got to push through that shit. I'm wondering if, not to say that this beef between LTG and this other guy DDG is fake, but I'm wondering if it actually stems from that shit and whatnot. Because like I said, DDG has a very long documented beef with Bruce. So, you know, overall petty shit, to be honest with you. So, and LTG is someone who, you know, who's on Bruce's side, and he, you know, he's a fan of his and everything too. So I'm wondering if that's going to eventually come about, because like I said, there's still back and forth shots between DDG and LTG. So I'm definitely going to speak on it. There's like they've had like 3 or 4 altercations online, I mean, so far. I don't know if I want to split it up or just make it one long video, but I will go over it though, because I've been watching it since it happened. But I just thought about the whole Bruce thing, and no one's talking about that really. So that might be something I'll bring up later. All right, here we go.
But that quickly petered out. Within 2-3 weeks, the casino viewers were gone, and so was their support. Even PPP couldn't bring the butts to the seats.
I mean, he's only half of the show though. Why should everything be completely and utterly dependent on him? Think about this. Think about this. You know what I'm saying? After 2 or 3 weeks, he's saying shit teetered out, and even PPP couldn't put butts in the seats. But he's only half of the show. Or did you forget that? But then again, if everybody's a slave, if everybody's a serf, you know, just something to think about. I'm just throwing it out there. I didn't say it, he did.
I was already skeptical about it because I wasn't sold that people were going to care that much about my opinions on pro wrestling when I had been so far removed from pro wrestling. I always knew that part of the gimmick of Smart Guys coming back was having PPP as my co-host. I knew that we were going to basically get like a bump of attention from the Kino Casino viewership. And that did happen at first, but that quickly petered out within 2.
I think he should have said rub, but whatever. I mean, it is what it is. I think he probably should have said rub though, instead of a bump, but that's, or boost. I guess you should say that.
3 weeks, the casino viewers were gone, and so was their support. Even PPP couldn't bring the butts to the seats. So it became apparent that I was going to have to do something different with the show. And after shit canning PPP.
Wait, aren't we a great screenshot, by the way. Aren't we rewriting history a little bit? I thought you got rid of PPP because he kept talking about Cat and you weren't willing to let that go anymore. Now you're saying that he wasn't bringing in enough money or attention, and that's why you got rid of him? Which one is it? So many questions. So many questions.
All right. I knew that it was going to have to be something more interesting than just me sitting here every week talking about wrestling. So I mixed it up. I started having co-hosts, and that's different. That's way outside of my comfort zone, especially because it was the logistics of, you know, getting everyone on Discord and making that work, which I'm happy that I've now learned how to do.
So wait a second, it wasn't the logistics of getting them up there, it's just you didn't know how to do it. But that's weird. How is it you don't know how to run Discord? Especially through OBS, when there are, I think there's a built-in plugin now, but there was a time where you actually needed a plugin, a free one, by the way, it's all free, to actually do so. But truth be told, he could have captured. Only thing he has to do is, well, all he would have had to do is just make sure that the audio was set up to where he could catch both sides of it. And Andy could have walked him through that, because matter of fact, I think Andy did, because when Andy had to walk him through how to use Restream.io, I think Andy said that he had to basically talk him through how the audio needed to work through OBS, if that's how they were choosing to capture it. So it wasn't like he figured out shit. Literally, Andy already walked him through all that. Let me stop. Now I'm just being petty. Now I'm just being petty.
This thing keeps screwing up. There we go. I'm happy that I've learned how to do it, because now, basically on the fly, I should be able to have like guests on whenever I want, as long as I have their Discord. I figured out all the ins and outs of Discord and how to do it. You saw yesterday when
he figured out all the ins out of Discord. You mean like how he knows the ins and outs of all these different games that he keeps failing at? You remember like that? He's a master of it now. He's got everything down packed. The fuck out of here.
I had Ralph on. I was able to resize him and get it to work on the show and everything on the fly. I was like, oh, it's that easy. So I'm good to go. And this is great moving forward.
And yet again, he's a rat. Just a nasty, disgusting pig rat. You know what I'm saying? Uses everybody and then has to claim the glory in the end and shit. And it's not even glory. It just makes you sound incompetent. You know what I'm saying? You sound stupid as hell. You just figured it out all of a sudden. Been doing Smart Guys for 14 shows, and you're just now figuring out how to fucking bring people in. Come on, man. Jesus.
It's going to benefit.
Every little victory, I guess, which is so sad. But then again, that's the hallmarks of a lolcow. Every little thing is a fucking victory. You don't believe me? Look at that bullshit with Rich. Because he's my new, well, he's not my new punching bag. I've been punching down on Rich for years. But anyway, punching up, I guess. Nah, it's really punching down. He's beneath me. He's beneath a lot of people. But anyway, look at Rich. He's sitting there taking shots at Becky. Not to say that he shouldn't. He shouldn't. Go ahead. You know what I'm saying? That chick lives in squalor and shit. She's fucking a fucking mess inside and out and shit. But it's really crazy that you're throwing shots at that chick when you were spending 10 years trying to get into her fucking dirty ass panties. That seems kind of weird. That seems, you know, kind of weird. That seems kind of strange. You throwing shots at someone that you've been trying to, you know, you were trying to bed for years and failed. Seems weird. Don't know. Maybe whoever Rich's handler is needs to clean that up. Maybe need to straighten him up a bit. That's wild. That's so wild.
Benefit me. So in the long run, you have to understand this was not a waste of time. It's, you know, it was actually worth it to put this effort in, right? But I put in more effort on yesterday's Smark guys than I have, you know, on pretty much any piece of content in a bit, because you have to understand something. When I'm going to do a podcast, yes, I do research for the show. Yes, I set up
going to Twitter
stuff in my PCs. I got it all ready here for today when we do Oblivion and everything. We got game news and everything here, right? But it's pretty simple. It's time consuming, but it's simple.
How does that make sense? It's time consuming, but it's simple. Does he not understand what simple means then? I mean, I know he's a simpleton, but does he not know what simple means then? At that, maybe it's just me. I don't know.
All right. To do Smark guys, this is a incredible investment of time. I have to watch hours and hours of pro wrestling over the course of the week.
You mean something that you already supposedly are supposed to enjoy? Like this isn't some project for fucking from work and shit. This is something that you as a casual fan should already enjoy doing. That's why you're talking about it. That's why you're choosing to share this with other people, because it's already something that you allegedly, supposedly, enjoy doing already. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Okay. Problems, ladies and gentlemen. Got problems.
I have to take copious notes because some people are like, how is watching TV work? Because I'm not just watching TV. I'm sitting here and every fucking match I'm typing a ridiculous amount of notes in my phone about what's going on in the match so that I can reference this later on the show. It's a work. It is work. It's the same as if you're watching a movie.
That's embarrassing. But that harkens back to something though. DSP used to say that shit about his playthroughs on YouTube and shit. He said, yeah, I know it's just me sitting here playing games, but it's work, man. It's work. And it's hard and it's time consuming. Playing video games on the internet is work. No editing, right? We're not making montages and shit. We're not doing anything creative with it. We're just sitting there dog-faced and whatnot. Ugly dog-faced, like just fucking ugly as shit. And playing games and whatnot poorly and then posting it on the internet. Babysitting uploads. That's hard work. Jesus, that's just so bizarre. So bizarre.
And reviewing it and you're taking notes and everything, you know, it's just as serious as that. Okay.
That's so sad.
And then to have these guests, you know, working with them, working on a schedule, getting, you know, OBS and Discord set up and everything. It's a lot of work. It's twice as much work as a regular stream for me. A gameplay stream? Are you kidding me? That's the easiest, right? You just set it up, you play it through OBS. Yeah, sometimes you have technical difficulties, but for the most part, that's the cakewalk stuff. You know what I mean?
That's funny. He said the same thing about reaction content, which is why everybody was doing it. Because it wasn't real work. I thought he said when he does a playthrough, though, he's putting all of his blood, sweat, and tears into it. It's his decision making. It's his personality. You know what I'm saying? It's him being an entertainer. All of that comes out during the playthrough. That's not what he's saying here. He's basically saying right here, it's just point and shoot. The game is doing everything. And he's just kind of slubbing along, if you will, or sludging along. Okay, I guess.
But this show's tough to do. It's challenging because of the amount of work and time investment. So for me yesterday, I was there doing the show. I'm having a blast. I'm like, wow, this actually is like a really professional piece of content. I'm covering every match.
Professional piece of content. This is sad, bro. Like, it's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, Phil, you're never going to match up to the man Dave is in the story. Just leave it alone. Like, this is sad. This is the reason why you can't relate to anybody. People do not come to this shit and look at it as work. You know what I'm saying? Because if you do that, then you're going to give off the idea or the aura, if you will, that it's just that. You don't really enjoy doing this. You just do it because you have no choice. You do it because you have to. And the fact that he's never understood that. This is meaningful. This is intelligent. This is professional. No one gives a shit about any of that stuff. Is it entertaining? Is it entertaining? Is it engaging? Those should be the first two things that you should be trying to check off. Then you can worry about the other buzzwords later. You're not teaching anybody anything, so professional doesn't mean anything, right? You're not the end-all, be-all to anybody's existence, so meaningful kind of gets thrown out the window with that shit. Like, good God, man. The desperation to have some type of legitimacy. If that's not insecurity, I don't know what is.
We've got guests chiming in. This is great. And then for the end of the show to see, we didn't even hit my basic support goal for a stream, which we've been hitting pretty regularly, let's be honest, except for oddball streams like Pirate Yakuza or last night's Atom Fall, which is the end of a lengthy playthrough that wasn't that popular. My streams have been doing good. So why is the thing that I just put the most time and effort into doing the worst, right? And so sometimes what you got to do is you have to look at things like this, right? And you have to say, is it worth the time? Is it worth the effort? I think that the quality of the product I'm putting out is good, but sadly, I'm going to be honest. I think that because I've been so far removed from pro wrestling for so long, there really isn't many people on the internet saying, gee, I want to hear DSP's opinions on pro wrestling. You know what I mean?
So, wait. So because he's not popular and he's not relevant, that's why people didn't flock to him in droves, I guess. But hold that. Just hold that, okay? Because that's gonna be something later. Let me bring that back. Holy shit.
Into doing the worst, right? And so sometimes what you got to do is you have to look at things like this, right? And you have to say, is it worth the time? Is it worth the effort? I think that the quality of the product I'm putting out is good, but sadly, I'm going to be honest. I think that because I've been so far removed from pro wrestling for so long, there really isn't many people on the internet saying, gee, I want to hear DSP's opinions on pro wrestling. You know what I mean? And I don't think that even when PPP was part of the show, I think that was the case as well, that people would tune in from time to time to see some drama, and then maybe a few people would want to hear the wrestling. But the wrestling crowd was not coming to the show and supporting it in droves or anything like that, okay? Now, if you want to know the truth, are you ready for a shocker? Because this is going to be a truth bomb, all right? Are you ready for this?
I don't know how a pathological liar can drop a truth bomb, but all right. I don't know how a piece of human trash that can lie to his mother and say that he'll come up with a 10-year plan and whatnot is going to be able to drop a truth bomb to a bunch of faceless people on the internet. I don't know how that works, but all right.
Was Smark guys ever really that popular? Even back in the day when I used to do the show originally with John Rambo as my co-host?
So then why the hell did you harass John over it then if it wasn't that popular, if it wasn't that meaningful, and it didn't bring any money or didn't bring as much money? Make it make sense. And see, I don't know why he'd even want to open up Pandora's box like that, because now he would have, well, if any dent wasn't a fucking dent, he would have to explain why he treated John the way he did. Why were you so butthurt that after you moved from Connecticut to Washington and you wanted to start up that coast-to-coast bullshit show, you wanted to start up Smart Guys again, and you wanted to start doing playthroughs again, if, for example, Smart Guys really wasn't that popular, it really wasn't that relevant, you really weren't, you know, the it thing as it pertains to wrestling content, then why'd you harass that man so damn bad?
Yeah.
So you're not really apologetic if you're doing that. You're not really trying to make things right, and you're really not hurt by the situation. Okay, like if you and I had a problem, Howie, which you never know.
I know, right?
And I felt really bad that you're not speaking to me. I'm probably not going to make the things worse.
No,
By saying shit like whatever he said, the insults that he said in a public video.
yeah, and
It's almost like he's always got to try to save face. I'm the winner. There's no winner in this situation, man.
No,
And
I
I
didn't
would
think there was
try-
going to
I
be a
would try
winner.
to-
Again, they are off base here. There's no winner here. I wasn't trying to be, oh, I'm the guy that is the winner here. I knew there was going to be a culmination and an explosion. I thought it was going to be they contact me behind the scenes, say fuck off, never again, stop contacting us, block, 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 or wow, all right, let's finally hash it out. We ignore, John. I thought it was going to be John saying, I ignored you for a year, but let's figure it out. One or the other. I thought it was going to be the former. I thought it was going to be fuck you, block, block, block. I had no idea they were going to make a public video like this at all. Because again, 90% of the shit in this video, it's the first time I'm hearing it. I didn't know there was a resentment about Project 7. I didn't know there was resentment about all these things that had happened over the years. It's first time hearing it. And it blew my mind and made me, feel like shit. But we'll talk about this in a second.
To address
so the
it,
end here. Let's finish this.
personally versus doing it the way he does. And personally, I'll be completely honest with you, John. I really think that he watches too much
This is
WWE because it feels like
WWE.
no, I'm not
What
lying,
the
dude. It
fuck are you
feels like
talking about?
it really feels like he tries to make his channel like that, where it's full of drama.
When?
It's all drama,
right, yeah.
just to try to create controversy.
My channel is all drama. Has he ever even watched the fucking channel? I played video games constantly. The vlogging was the rare shit. He's acting like I'm Keemstar. Like, what is he talking about here? It doesn't even make any sense at all what he's saying. It's completely nonsensical stuff.
So that he can get more views.
Yeah,
And
we're feeding into it right now.
Create controversy
And
to
we
get
are. We're
views.
feeding
Oh, that's
into
me.
it
Like I
now.
said, he's still finding ways to monetize us after all this time. But
Yeah.
let's bring up that. So WWE Smart Guys, man. People often ask him like, "Are you doing Smart Guys?" And they'll just throw me under the bus. Like, it's up to John. It's 100% on him if we'll do it. I got some text from him from last summer where he's basically like, "Let me know when you want to do Smart Guys, so I'll start watching wrestling again." So what that says to me is like you're not really a fan of it. You don't really watch it. You will watch it if you could make a video about it, and you're going to make a video about it because you want to monetize a video.
So, at this point, when you get to this, you're at the end of it now, and you're like, so everything now is evil. I mean, everything I do is wrong. Everything's evil, right? There's no jokes anymore. Again, this is the well's been poisoned. So anything Phil does is the mindset. He's only in it for the money. He doesn't care about anyone but himself. Everything is evil. Everything is bad. So there's a running joke that we used to make when we did Smart Guys that wrestling sucks. Like most pro wrestling was bad. I mean, there's a few rare times when the CM Punk plotline happened and we liked that. But in general, that the wrestling was quite bad. It wasn't as good as the stuff that used to be on TV. It's a running joke that, it's bad. Okay? Now, when he contacts me about, or when we're talking about this, it's a joke. Oh, I'll start watching wrestling again once, we're going to do the show. I just moved, all right? I hadn't been actively watching wrestling because I hadn't been actively doing anything and fallen back into my habits, all right? But I was still following it. I still knew what was going on in wrestling. I was, reading stuff online, social media and the like, and I was eventually going to get back into it. I feel, hey, a great way to get full-fledged back into it after not being, attached to it for a couple months would be for the show. But it was a joke. Oh, I'm not watching it. Yeah, we'll watch it again when we're going to make the show. It's a joke, it sucks or whatever. Now, this couldn't be further from the truth. Allow me to flip this a little bit. I don't really like doing this, but this is, at this point, John, I think at the end of the video here, he just starts throwing Hail Marys. What's the last few things I could say bad about Phil? All right? During the course that we were making Smark Guys, all right, I was watching everything. I was watching every program on WWE, including Raw, SmackDown, and the other formative shows that were coming out at that time. Plus, Impact Wrestling. Every week I was watching Impact Wrestling. John didn't like 90% of the wrestling. So every once in a while, he'd watch a Ring of Honor show and bring that to the table. But for the most part, he would come in, and after maybe just a few months of doing the show, expressed to me that he didn't like the wrestling stuff anymore. He wanted to keep doing the show and talk about it. But he said, so just so you know, I'm going to come in, and I'm not going to know anything about the shows because I didn't watch them. But what we're going to do is we're going to open up. I had an iPad at the time. We'll open up your iPad, and we'll use this app to go through the results of the show. So even though I didn't watch any of the wrestling, you can go through it because you watched it. And as you're talking about it, I'll give you what I think about what happened on the show, but I haven't watched it. All right? So kind of funny, you know, the whole time we're doing Smart Guys, arguably half the time, like the second half we were doing the show, he wasn't watching wrestling. He was basically having me talk about what happened, going through results, and giving my opinion on it because I had watched it, and then he would chime in. All right? People didn't know that. He was good at bullshitting, I guess. All right? But here we are, years later, the show's retired, we want to restart it. I make a joking comment, oh, we'll start watching it again now, you know, I haven't watched it in a while, wrestling sucks. Oh, see, Phil only watched wrestling because he would monetize it. Dude, we were making a show together, monetizing it, and you didn't watch it. So what are you talking about? Like, completely hypocritical there. And that irks me because that's a particular situation where I was really carrying the workload for that show, and he was just riding along, and now here it is years later. Oh, what's the last few darts we can throw at Phil at the end? Oh, he made a joke about wrestling. That means he only monetizes wrestling. He doesn't watch it outside of it. Sure. Whatever you say, John.
Yeah.
Right. So it's just really weird, you know. Like I'll start watching when you let me know that we're gonna do the show. Otherwise, I'm not gonna fucking look at it. You know. I don't know. Let's go to Thanksgiving last year, man. I'm just trying. We only got maybe a couple things here left just to get out of here.
There's really nothing left. They're just going to reiterate
Not
things they've
ruin the
already said
entire
at this
day
point,
here.
if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Because life is good, man. If you let life be good, there's a lot of great things you could be doing with yourself.
Oh, exactly.
So yeah, on the Thanksgiving video that he put out this year, he talks about how last year he was not invited on the Black Friday show.
Did you really miss doing content with him, or did you miss having control of him, or what you perceive to be control? I'm just asking. I'm asking for a friend.
The answer is very simple. No. Smart Guys was actually never that popular. Even back in the day, the most popular episode maybe had like 20, 30,000 views. I think maybe like the first couple episodes may have like 50,000.
How many episodes now do you have that's anywhere close to that? Just asking.
Because so many people wanted to see the beginning of the show. But back in the day, Smart Guys also was not very popular. The original run, okay? And you might say, well, really? I thought, no. Back then, you have to understand.
Well, no, fuck you. Here's the scumbag shit of that. He didn't. That's not how he portrayed it. When he initially was trying to sell people on the idea of starting up Smart Guys again, that's not how he framed it. So it's funny how in the beginning, when he was trying to con people and hit you with the pignosis, oh, this shit was great. I'm getting ready to go back to my roots. You guys remember how many people loved that show back in the day and everything, and how I was, you know, one of the first people that were really doing it, this, that, and the third, and it'd be great to bring that back. Now that it's damn near dead, now it's, oh, well, it didn't really mean anything to me anyway. It didn't really mean shit. You know, all those times that you said, all those years that DSP tried to tell you, oh, man, well, you know, it'd be nice if you and John Rambo could come back and do it again. Or, hey, maybe you should just pick up the torch and just do it on your own, Phil, you know, for all of us, you know, legitimate wrestling fans. Yeah, he didn't give a fuck about none of y'all, because none of y'all really ever existed. He lied. He lied to get over, basically. I didn't say it, he did. You don't believe me? Say it again.
Even when PPP was part of the show, I think that was the case as well. That people would tune in from time to time to see some drama, and then maybe a few people would want to hear the wrestling. But the wrestling crowd was not coming to the show and supporting it in droves or anything like that. Okay? Now, if you want to know the truth, are you ready for a shocker? Because this is going to be a truth bomb. All right? Are you ready for this?
He really thinks he's doing something.
Was Smart Guys ever really that popular? Even back in the day, when I used to do the show originally with John Rambo as my co-host? The answer is very simple. No. Smart Guys was actually never that popular. even back in the day, the most popular episode maybe had like 20, 30,000 views. I think maybe like the first couple episodes may have like 50,000 because so many people wanted to see the beginning of the show. But back in the day, Smark Guys also was not very popular. The original run, okay? And you might say, well, really? I thought it. No. Back then, you have to understand, I didn't have any streams. It wasn't streamed. I actually
See, and this is what I try to tell people. DSP is not loyal to shit. If DSP has pride, tell me where it's at. Because he's not loyal to anything. At all. Not even himself. Not even himself. Smart Guys was just another vehicle, another vector, and whatnot, to try to get some more money out of these idiots. That's all it was. He never cared about it. It never had any real value to him. You know what I'm saying? I'm really wondering, actually, not even I'm really wondering, I think he actually says it in this, that the only real reason that he kept doing, well, one of the reasons why he kept doing Smart Guys is because John was really into it. You know what I'm saying? And then they moved on to the gameplay content later. Or was that in that old clip that I was telling you guys about? I can't remember now. It was one of the two. It comes across super fucking grimy. If it's in the older clip, you guys should have already seen it up to this point. Then again, I could be petty as hell and just put it back in here again too. We'll see, but we'll see. But I can't remember now. But he used to say that like John would come by like on Saturdays or something. They would do Smart Guys, talk about wrestling, and then the rest of the day was all just gameplay. Just gameplay. The way he worded it, he made it sound like, hey, John was the wrestling fan. So I did that to appease him. I did that so I could put a little bit of money in his pockets doing that shit. But the real moneymaker was the gameplay shit. That's all I cared about. That's essentially how he made it sound.
We started streaming it kind of in the middle of the run of the show. We didn't have any support during live streams. It was solely based on views and ad revenue. So even back...
Views and ad revenue that I personally think, he was fucking John out of, even back then. You know? John thought he was getting his percentage, and I don't think John was getting his percentage. I honestly don't think so. Especially after DSP allegedly said they weren't giving him out printouts anymore to tell him how much certain video, like each video was doing, so he could figure out, okay, this video did this much that John was in, this is how much we split it up. I think DSP was lying to John from the beginning. I think he was ripping John off too.
Back in the day, Smart Guys wasn't putting butts in seats, wasn't getting a lot of attention, and wasn't making a lot of money. You want to know the truth? Smart Guys was a way for me to hang out with my friends.
Oh, never mind. It was right here. It was right here. Okay, bet. Expect to see this again. Like, expect me to bring this back. But I want you to hear this shit.
Make content that could diversify my portfolio of what I was doing, and then also do other things that made money. So, for example, John Rambo would come visit me on.
Yeah, dude, he sounds like a fucking pimp, like a gouty pimp. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I went ahead and I had John out there in the strip club. You know what I'm saying? Making me all my money and shit, shaking that shit or whatever. And then I go ahead and whore him out to the private parties and shit. He might do a bachelor party too and whatever. And then I put that hoe to the street. That's what he sound like. Oh, fuck, man. That's fucking brutal. Goddamn, Phil.
On a Saturday, we would sit down and do.
I used my friend to diversify my portfolio. And then I put that bitch to work. Oh, that shit is fucking wild, bro.
Smart Guys for 2 hours. It would be fun to do. Yeah, we'd upload that episode and we make a few bucks. Then we'd spend the rest of the day doing games. And it was the game playthrough content.
I told you. He did the wrestling shit just to appease John, essentially. Just to make it seem like, hey, hey guys, I have a friend of mine. I can talk about other shit, this, that, and the third. And then upload it, make his shekels. Maybe John gets a piece of those shekels, maybe he don't. And maybe I'll just buy his ass a burger or something for the day and he'll be all right. Then I go ahead and put that bitch to work. Then now this bitch needs to go ahead and flip the mother Johns and shit. Now I need him out there on the street. I need him on that corner because daddy need their money. Damn, bro. That's wild. Literally saying I hoard my friend out. Holy shit, bro. Boy, I've been working this slave shift and I ain't made shit. I wish I could. God dog, bro, that's just brutal.
That made us revenue. It was never Smark guys. That's just the truth, okay? Now, I'm sure that over the course of the last decade, things have changed, as I've heard from guys like Cypress TV.
Shut your dumb ass up. We're bringing that back. We're bringing that back. I'm not gonna talk through it this time though. That's icky. That's fucking icky, bro.
We have like 50,000 because so many people wanted to see the beginning of the show. But back in the day,
That's icky.
Smark guys also was not very popular. The original run, okay? And you might say, well, really?
And see, here's the thing for all those people out there, like say he has pride. Why would you debase something like that? Why would you debase your friend like that? Like, you know what I'm saying? Let me take all my comedic bullshit to the side, if you even want to call it comedic. But let's push all that shit to the side for a minute. Why would you debase your friend like that? Someone that you supposedly care about, someone that you were so dependent on to make content. Why would you debase him like that? And what you guys were doing together? This isn't the first time DSP's done that. Something to think about.
No. Back then, you have to understand, I didn't have any streams. It wasn't streamed. I actually started streaming it kind of in the middle of the run of the show. We didn't have any support during live streams. It was solely based on views and ad revenue. So even back in the day, Smart guys wasn't putting butts in seats, wasn't getting a lot of attention, and wasn't making a lot of money. You want to know the truth? Smart guys was a way for me to hang out with my friends, make content that could diversify my portfolio of what I was doing, and then also do other things that made money. So, for example, John Rambo would come visit me on a Saturday. We would sit down and do Smark guys for 2 hours. It would be fun to do. Yeah, we'd upload that episode and we make a few bucks. Then we'd spend the rest of the day doing games. And it was the game playthrough content that made us revenue. It was never Smark guys. That's just the truth, okay? Now,
now who's the us? Because John was the only one who got paid, and John probably wasn't even getting his full cut. But let's go ahead and look at this as a whole. Let's go ahead and bring it all together now. So, Smart Guys was a chance for him to spend time with his friends, pour them out for whatever little bit of money he could get, and then prime them or prep them to be hoard out for the gameplay content. That's basically it. Now let's go ahead and cut the bullshit. Let's actually be serious about this. So he made a bunch of people who he thought were his friends, and they thought that he was their friend. He had them come over, talk about wrestling that he really didn't care about because he wasn't making any real money off of it. But for the friendship, in air quotes, it was a good thing. It also showed that it also was some diversity for his portfolio and whatnot. It shows that he has some range, basically, and that he could actually have friends and he can mingle with them and whatever. And then after that, we get to the real moneymaker, which goes back to what I've told you. DSP will sacrifice, you know what I'm saying, money for ego. That's icky. That's icky as shit. That's manipulative as shit. It's bad enough that he's already saying, "Oh, the content didn't do a lot of money," but those guys weren't even getting paid. Only person who was getting a cut was John, and John had to ask for that money. DSP didn't just offer him a cut. John had to ask for it. Keep that in mind. But he was a good friend, though. Those people should have came out and told him what was going on and whatnot. He didn't. It's not his fault that he didn't know or understand what the situation is. No one told him. That's what he tells you. That's what he tries to preach to you. Sick fucking monkey. I gotta tell you. Jesus Christ.
I'm sure that over the course of the last decade, things have changed. As I've heard from guys like Cypress TV and Gahul, there is an internet wrestling community of people who are dedicated to covering everything pro wrestling. And there's entire businesses based around this. And there's podcasts and there's crossovers with real life wrestlers and all. And all this has happened in the last decade, the decade that I've been removed from pro wrestling. So sadly, I kind of missed the boat. Perhaps if I had stuck around doing Smart Guys over the last decade, I would have actually grown. I would have gotten that kind of reach. I would have gotten that kind of attention, and maybe people would have cared.
They wouldn't have, because your whole existence was predicated on someone else. Hence the reason why you quit in the first place. So no. So let's go ahead and reword it and actually say it the way he means it. If I could have convinced John and Howard and the rest of those guys who I try to, make it seem like they were my friends, but they really weren't. I was just using them. If I could have convinced those guys to stick around, then I might have actually been something as it pertains to wrestling. But that's only if I could have kept some of those guys around to help me do it. But I could never do it on my own, which is weird coming from this dude who runs around and preaches I'm the ultimate underdog. You know what I'm saying? I'm the king of hate because no one believes me and no one believes in me. So, I have to do everything on my own. I have to prove that I'm not a failure. I'm not a loser. I'm not all these different things. But he's readily admitting here, basically, that, hey, if I could have convinced those guys to stick around and still like me, I might have actually been something in wrestling, or in the wrestling community, if you will. Take that all in. Take that all in.
But I'm going to be honest here. I just don't think many people care about my thoughts on pro wrestling like they used to.
But you just said it wasn't popular, though. You just said it wasn't popular. You said it really wasn't that relevant. So why would people care? And then keep in mind, over that decade plus that he's been removed from it, he's bashed wrestling more than once. He says, "Hey, I don't watch that anymore. Hey, I don't care about that anymore. I don't bother with any of that anymore." Despite the fact that he's lying, the fact that he would ban people out of his chat on Twitch and on YouTube, respectfully, for mentioning anything about wrestling or a big event that was coming up, on top of the fact that he was playing WWE champions. So certainly he was keeping up with the real life wrestlers were doing because he was heavily invested in the game. It's not like our own lies and our lack of hubris didn't come back to haunt us and shit. Semantics.
More people care about my thoughts on games. More people care about my thoughts on news. And
if that's the case, what happened to DSP politics? If that's the case, what happened to fucking DSPN, your little gaming segment? That's my shit now, by the way. But so I'm about to take that shit. But what happened to that little stuff? I don't see that being a thing. Why isn't DSPN sectioned out and has his own and doesn't have its own individual video or a short on YouTube if people give a fuck about it so damn much? Don't worry, I'll wait.
Stuff like that. More people show up to hang out with me on a late night chill stream than to watch Smart Guys. But here's the shame of it.
I don't even know if that's actually true, but all right.
I like doing the show. I do. I feel that doing different kinds of content is the way for me moving forward.
That doesn't mean you like doing the show. It doesn't mean you like wrestling. It just means you want to be able to talk about other shit and you're praying that people will care. That doesn't mean you like wrestling. Or whatever.
Not just Phil's the guy who sits there and plays games and rages and yada yada. That's not going to last forever. I'm 43 years old. I'm going to continue to age, and the appeal of seeing me play every video game will wane. People will not be as interested.
Dude, the appeal for people listening to your dumb shit is starting to wane. To be honest, you should be glad that you have people who are used as a filter to still listen to your dumb shit. Like I said, none of this shit's going to last forever, Phil.
Get it? So because of that, I have to diversify my content, okay? We've tried some things in the last year, including politics and stuff like that. Didn't really work. Maybe one day
I mean, you didn't actually give it a chance, but then again, you weren't actually committed to it. You didn't know what the fuck you were talking about, so of course it didn't work. And that right there is what's going to happen to anything else that he does later. If he doesn't commit himself to it, and if he doesn't do the actual research instead of running around here trying to grab fucking basically hot posts or relevant posts off of fucking Twitter/X, he's not going to go anywhere with anything. You know what I'm saying? And that's one of the reasons why he got scared out of politics, because he was scared that he was going to say something. He wanted that hot take, right? But then he would have to defend that hot take later if it turns out to be wrong. He didn't want to do that because he's too scared of it. On top of that, he doesn't want somebody else who really has a name to come in and start critiquing his shit, and he doesn't have any rebuttal. That's only going to make things worse. And that's what I'm saying. I don't think DSP really wants exposure. He tells you that, but I don't think that's actually what he wants. He's just looking for the next vulnerable people that he can siphon some money out of. That's really all it comes down to. I don't think he cares about being having a a million sub channel, having 1,000 people on stream. I don't think he cares about any of that anymore. I think it scares him. I honestly think that scares the shit out of him. Having nice low numbers, but getting large donations, I think that's what he's more comfortable with.
I will get back to DS politics. It's possible, but I'm just not that interested in it right now. Okay? This was a different way to diversify my content. All right? But again, it doesn't seem like it's really working. I don't know what to do because I'm trying to be as transparent as possible here. If you liked Smark guys, I needed you to show up, engage, and support with Smark guys. Some people did do that, but it just wasn't a lot.
Now, let's go ahead and be honest and let's just say what he really means. It wasn't enough. That's what it was. Those dents failed him, and they didn't come through. And because they didn't come through, because they didn't care enough, he's going to take it away from them. Like any parent that takes a fucking toy away from a child who's acting the fuck out. And that's essentially what he does. And that right there really harkens back to that fucking Wolverine toy thing. It really does. Like, you can see a lot of his belligerence and his spite and from his childhood. You can see how I feel, invokes that onto his fucking audience and shit. Oh, you guys don't do what daddy want? All right, then I'm going to take your toys away. I'm going to take your show away. I'm not going to play that game right now because you don't do what I want you to do. Maybe if you behave, maybe if you go ahead and get your shit together, get it, then maybe I'll go ahead and do that. Maybe we can do that. And that's another thing too that he likes to do a lot, which is what parents do. Oh, maybe I'll take you here. Maybe we can get you this. Maybe we can get you that. It depends if you behave. That's literally what he does. He treats these dents, which there are dents, by the way, but he treats these dents like children. Very disrespectful, to be honest with you. Well, you don't treat your own child this way for the sake of it. You know what I'm saying? You're trying to prove a point. You know what I'm saying? You're trying to condition them. In a lot of ways, he's doing the same thing. Maybe that's the reason why he felt so bad that he had to let Derek go. Or he at least made Derek change accounts or whatever. But something to take in. That's nasty, though. Holy shit, that's nasty.
Diversify my content. All right? But again, it doesn't seem like it's really working. I don't know what to do because I'm trying to be as transparent as possible here. If you liked Smark guys, I needed you to show up, engage, and support with Smark guys. Some people did do that, but it just wasn't a lot. Most people who went by and supported that show, I feel they were supporting it just because of me, not because of the content, but because, hey, it's DSP, I want to help them out tonight. Or it was...
But that's how you condition them, though. You condition people, like the whole thing where, like, felting the trolls, right? Is felting the fucking... let's be honest, let's call a spade, right? Because his main target is fucking duty. If you really think... Do you really think hitting the fucking tips goal hurts duty? You really think that fucking stops anything that he does? He's still going to put his 6 videos out tomorrow anyway, or whatever the fuck, however many videos he puts out. He's going to do it. So that doesn't change anything. Is that going to stop Tevin from restreaming and shit? Is that going to stop anybody from doing anything? No, it's not. But he was quick to market it as such. You know what I'm saying? We got to get over on the trolls. We have to, you know what I'm saying? You don't want these people to sit there and say I'm a loser, do you? Which by proxy makes you guys losers. We got to stand up and prove to these people that we believe in what we're doing, that you guys believe in the actual content. He's always marketed as it's an us versus them type situation. And he's lost every exchange. Now he has the nerve to get mad that, oh, you guys don't really care about the content. You guys supported me for me. That's your fault. You conditioned them to do that, especially when he starts to get desperate. You fell right into the trap. And that's not a trap that any detractor recently set. That's been a thing. And he just keeps falling into it. You think this us versus them thing is new? No. You know what I'm saying? There's been plenty, like, duty is just one in the fucking barrel and shit. There's been plenty of people before him that was used as a lightning rod, if you will, to try to get over on the detractors. It never works. It never works. If anything, Duty's just become a statistic. But funny enough, DSP has further become a statistic because he keeps falling for the same shit. And Duty's still going to go ahead and make his content. He's still going to make his money. You're not stopping anything. You're doing, whether DSP sees or not, you're doing exactly what everybody wants you to do. You're only hurting yourself. It's fucking fantastic, bro. That's fucking crazy. That's so crazy. After all these years, DSP still don't see that shit. Wild, bro. Wild.
Like a few people would support the show, but it was sporadic. Okay? So, what to do? Well, I'll tell you this, I'm taking time off. After doing that super show, that was so much effort and time and everything. Okay? I'm not going to continue doing the show weekly right now. This week I'm taking off. Next week I'm taking off. At the earliest, I'll bring back Smark Guys sometime in May. In fact, what I'd like to do is just see what happens with pro wrestling. Right now, Monday Night Raw last night was one of the best shows I've seen in a long time. And Monday Night Raw last night was better than all of WrestleMania. I'm serious. I don't know why they actually made their yearly Super Bowl style event worse than the night after. It doesn't make sense. Why save the good stuff for after your event? But they did. It's like they held back at WrestleMania just for the show the next night to be great. Well, I'm burnt out. I don't want to cover it right now. Okay?
Yeah, that's what his main Achilles heel is, to be honest with you. It's one of many. Is the fact that he doesn't want to do anything when other people think he should do it. And then when he tries to do it later, he gets mad that no one supports it. The fact that after all these years, his dumbass still has not figured that shit out is out of this fucking world, bro. Out of this fucking stratosphere. That shit's crazy. Crazy. But he believes that he has all this fucking time to do shit, and he really don't. You know what I'm saying? Like, we live in a day and age where people don't have to wait. Oh well.
So, I will consider bringing Smart Guys back
Especially with his penchant of and or his track record of taking other people's takes and trying to pass it off as his own, which is a big problem. Like, that's why anything that he says at almost any given time, you can go on Twitter and find it and whatnot. And I'm starting to think that he fucks around with on Reddit a bit too, because Wings and Boogie and all of them like to hang out over there on Reddit and read shit about themselves and other shit too. So I'm starting to think that he's starting to get over there with some of that as well. But he doesn't have an original take because he's too scared to take a side, because he's too scared to lose, which is crazy that someone who's a perpetual loser is scared to lose and whatnot, and yet is given all these advantages to finally get ahead of something and won't do it. Make it make sense.
time in May. When I do, likely what it'll be is getting caught up on the plot lines that I haven't been covering, possibly doing some NXT or doing some AEW. But if I'm going to bring it back, there has to be incentive and buy-in that people are going to care.
See, dangling the keys, you know what I'm saying? Dangling the carrot, praying someone will buy into that shit.
Nah, oh, I put all this time and effort into it. You know, I'm watching all this show. I research stuff. I try to get a co-host. I do the show, and no one shows up, and there's no support. I'm just not going to do it. I am being pulled in many directions.
Actually, there's another clip, too. I'll try to remember to put it in here, but Snort Burnell caught that one, too. Big ups. Where DSP was basically like, yeah, the detractors, they won't play ball, man. They won't buy in. They won't support the content. Me and PPP tried to get them to buy in during the, the early Smart Guys, the Grill Fill segment, and they just refuse to do it, man. They just won't play ball. They don't understand that, like, if you guys want to keep making content on me, you guys need to buy into this shit. You got to invest. He didn't say invest because he doesn't know what investing is. I threw that there. But you got to invest in, you have to invest in me and shit to keep this thing going. Coming from the same fucking mental midget monkey who has sat there and has taken down detractor content. Oh, yeah, sure. People are going to throw you money and whatnot, and you're more than likely, sometime or another, when you get in your goddamn feelings, you're going to strike their channels down, or you're going to strike content on their channels down. Sure. Yeah, you'd be real fucking smart to be a detractor or a detractor and throw money at that. Yeah, that makes a whole lot of sense. Yeah, Phil. Yeah, there's really someone stupid enough to do that shit. Yeah, that makes a whole lot of sense. Yes, give money to someone who's going to eventually try to strike you down. Yeah, that's yeah, that's big brain thinking right there. Yes, sir. That's 220 chess moves right there, buddy.
Well, you know what they say. You heard the saying, spread the cheeks, money for weeks.
I should market the banana song. If one thing holds true, it's very simple. All right? None of my detractors will ever pay to support me in any way. It's just simple. They don't. You know, we tried that on Smark guys having a grill fill segment. Hey, if you support, we'll do this, we'll do that. There'll be more grilling fill. They don't want to do it. They want to basically, they want to make fun or whatever, but they don't want to play the game, and they don't want to understand that supporting me allows me to continue to do stuff, and then they can continue to do what they want. They don't care. You know, they're not well-intentioned. They never were. They never will be.
I'm an evil bastard.
Do different kinds of content. Today, all of a sudden, people want me to play Oblivion. But then people will say, why didn't you play Blueprints? And then people will say, oh, but you didn't play Black Ops like you had promised. Hey, when you get back to Minecraft, that's been really fun. Hey, Phil, what about Clear Obscure later this week? That's a brand new game. You're going to play it, right? Hey, Phil, what about that? What about that? It's constant. It's literally constant that people pull me in all these directions and want me to do all these different things. Okay? So I need to be using my time wisely because I'm only one person. If I was a team of people, if I was all these people working.
If I had a plantation of people that can do the work for me, then I could do what everybody wants. But since I don't have a plantation of people that I can make do what I want, it is what it is. I'm surprised that no one ever correlates that reference, because that's really what he's saying. That's legitimately what he's saying. If he had a plantation of people to do the work for him, everything could get done that everybody wanted. That's a disgusting fucking analogy. But that's what he means, though.
Together, well, this person could work on this project and this person could work on this project, but I'm one guy and I'm in demand. People want to see me do different things. So I'm
in demand. I'm in demand. Oh, that's cope. That's delusion, but that's damn sure cope. I'm in demand. Wow. That's pretty wild. I can't get people to hit goals, though. But he's in demand, though. But he can't hit goals, though. But he's in demand, though. Keep that in mind.
To do what people want, and I got to do, make some tough decisions. Right now, I think the best decision is let's have Smark guys go on a hiatus. To be honest, it was always supposed to be the beginning of the year, the debut of Raw on Netflix through WrestleMania. That was the idea. And then we were going to see how things petered out, how things went. And if it went, like, for example, yesterday, if that show did really well, let's say that attendance was high and I hit like multiple goals and things, I was going to just continue the show weekly. I would have done one this Thursday. No exaggeration. I would have done another show this Thursday. But it was literally the opposite.
It's the doubt, especially since he was wanting Kino Casino to switch up, they like change their schedule and try to fit him into it. Nah. Eventually, Andy was going to blow up at him no matter what, I think. But he was like DSP was literally trying to fuck with their money. He was literally trying to fuck with their money. How is it that you're going to try to demand people who put you on to change their schedule to accommodate you? That's disgusting. That's disgusting. But, if you don't value people, if they're all slaves and serfs to you, then, you mentally don't think there's anything wrong with it. Right? That's the thing, right? You know what I'm saying? Respect the pack. John and Howard and OJ. You know what I'm saying? Anybody else who's ever associated with him, they'll tell you. They know better than anybody.
So let's see what happens and go from there. But for now, Smart guys, I'm putting on hiatus. We'll see if I decide to bring it back sometime, maybe next month. But for now, I need a break from pro wrestling. Again, if you want it, ask for it. If you want it, support it. Don't say, I'm sad it's gone. When you had it, where were you? That's the best way that I can make judgments these days.
I wonder if he feels that way about PPP and Andy. No, I mean, hear me out. Like, in hindsight, right? Does he sit there and think to himself, you know what, man? Fuck. All I had to do was jump through a couple of fucking hoops, which was going to make me some money anyway. And I would still be in a good position right now. Or a better position than he's in currently, I should say. All I had to do was, maybe he doesn't go to the fucking Hogan situation or whatever on the trip or whatever. Okay, fair enough. Whatever. Maybe he does a couple other collabs and shit. Maybe he just runs around being the dancing monkey that they wanted him to be and whatnot. And maybe he can still have his his gaming soulmate in Andy, who apparently never really liked him anyway. That's hilarious. And maybe PPP would still be there to give him advice. You never know. You never know. And that's why you should never take people who try to help you or want to help you for granted. You should never do that. But see, DSP doesn't look at people. He doesn't value people. And with any person who falls, he thinks someone else will replace them. So if you believe that, then why would you change?
Who's showing up, who's engaging, and who's supporting content? If we have projects that I'm working on and people aren't showing up, engaging, and supporting, then why would I continue them? Right?
I mean, if that's the case, then why even do them? Why even start?
Okay. I hope that makes sense. All right. So more shout outs. We have Cade with a $2 super chat. Did the copyright thing get solved? Oh, good question. I completely forgot about this thing. So the weirdest freaking thing happened yesterday. I was live streaming this podcast, and continuously during this show, I kept getting pop-up warnings on my screen saying, warning, you are streaming copywritten content and the AI has detected it, and we're going to shut down your stream. You must stop doing this immediately.
I've never seen that. Well, I haven't streamed in a while either. It's probably been streamed since like February. I'm getting back on that. Like I'm coming back to that. But damn, I didn't even know they do that now. That's helpful. Wait, is that on Kick or is that on YouTube or is that both? I've never streamed on Kick before. I did. They damn sure don't do that on Twitch, but it's not. Twitch plays by a different set of rules over there. It's a little different over there. I wonder if it's like that when you stream on Twitter. But there's all kinds of copyrighted shit on Twitter, so I don't think they would even care. I'm gonna have to look into that. I don't want to create a space. I want to actually be able to stream over there on Twitter or X, whatever the fuck. So I got to make sure I figure out the difference between that.
And I was like, copywritten content. What are you talking about? This is my podcast. I'm not even playing a game. I'm not playing music. How could anything on the screen be a concern? Right? So, basically what happened is I streamed my stream. They never took the stream down, but it kept popping up endlessly during the stream. After the stream ended, nothing happened. Usually what would happen is a claim would land on that on-demand stream, and it would say, hey, this is the portion that got claimed, and this is your problem. Nothing happened. I uploaded that podcast as a video. Also nothing happened. So guess what? It's exactly as I said. It was a glitch. Some idiot,
he probably wasn't going to get a strike for it anyway. They were probably just going to demonetize it, which doesn't matter because he's going to take the stream down in private or delete it, and he's just going to sit there and re-download it and then chop it up anyway. That's why most of his begging segments get cut out. So it doesn't matter anyway. That literally doesn't mean we're literally bitching for no reason.
coder, some nerd at Google recoded the AI system and screwed it up, and it was flagging people's streams claiming there was copywritten content when there wasn't, and it didn't even affect anything.
We mean people. Right now we're only talking about you, and you don't talk to anybody else. So let's just keep it isolated to the person that it allegedly happened to.
So, crisis averted. The sky is not falling. You don't have to worry. It was no big deal at all. It was just some idiot who's, again, probably launched something without testing it. And it is what it is. Now, it hasn't.
Now, keep in mind, it's coming from the same mongoloid who was running 2 brand new PCs, didn't know shit about it, was going through all these blips and problems, didn't know how to stress test, didn't know how to ISO shit to figure out what was what. I mean, keep that in mind. But it's the nerds' problem. It's the nerds that are the issue. Book smart, not street smart.
I streamed Smart Guys, no issue. I streamed Atom Fall last night, no issue. I'm streaming right now, no issue. So, it seems to be fixed. Okay. I received a $2 tip. Hey, man, I'm looking forward to Oblivion. In my opinion, Smart Guys was a little dry. Maybe make a small segment once a week about wrestling or a short show before when you game at night. I don't think you can bring the same kind of sustained hype energy that PPP has during the show, but you excel as a gamer.
I mean, he's right about the PPP part. He's wrong about the gamer part. He's not a gamer. Fucking fraud. I don't know, man. Maybe it's just me, or maybe it's just my monitor and shit, but his hair seems extra dark in particular. He must have just had a dye job done on that shit. Fake ass Grand Theft Auto Vice City shit.
Yeah, but you have to understand that PvP's energy, number one, is fake. It's fake.
I mean, that fakeness, you benefited from it greatly. But then again, this goes back to the theme that's essentially been of this. He kept his mouth shut when he was benefiting from it. And then after that, take it back out back, give it that old gouty yeller. Just go ahead and just give it double barrel. It's not useful anymore.
That's his show. He's a carnival barker. That's what he's good at. He's a Pied Piper for people who like to hear high-pitched screaming. Adults don't like that. Or at least mature adults don't like that.
Well, I guess you're neither one then, because you didn't mind dealing with it for as long as you did. What was that, 8, 9 months? So I guess that says a lot about you, don't it?
All right? He literally is just like, how can I explain? Like, he's like Fred.
Who?
Actually, that might be the best description. PPP is like Fred. He's high-pitched, he's high energy, and he just squeals constantly. And there's an audience for it. The same people who come running when he rings a triangle.
So wait, so I think he's talking about that one guy from way back in the day. Okay, so PPP is a Spurg. The people who follow him are Spurgs, and they're even more worthless, the people who follow PPP, because when PPP rang his little bell, they all ran running back to him. So you didn't mind them being Spurgs as long as they were giving you money. But when they went back to their master, when they went back to their own plantation, then all of a sudden you had a problem with it. Okay, mature adult, ladies and gentlemen. Mature adult.
Do you get it? No, it's not normal people.
But he didn't mind. He didn't mind collecting their money, though. He didn't mind collecting their money.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but normal people don't go for that shit. People who are in my audience don't enjoy that kind of content.
But yet again, he didn't mind that his audience, well, not his audience didn't profit from shit, but he didn't mind collecting those people's money. He didn't mind enriching himself.
What he was doing was actually hurting smart guys because people were coming to hear wrestling and all they heard was the insane screeching of a profoundly overweight, over crazy hyped guy who literally was just there to try to make money.
Remember all the dick that he was sucking in those DMs? And this is how Jesus, man. God, dog. Oh, man, that's so crazy. The FGC did the smartest that did, well, it was one of the smartest moves they made, was getting DSP the fuck up and out of there. Holy shit. Holy shit. Just imagine. This is major hyperbole, by the way. But just imagine if DSP had the type of influence that fucking Maximilian did. I mean, because obviously DSP is very much anti-Max. But just imagine if he was literally on the pedestal equivalent to Max. Just the anti-Max, just the anti-positivity. Shit on everything, shit on everybody. But he had an audience within the FGC who was willing to prop him up, who was willing to support him, this, that, that. Just imagine what kind of damage he could do. I want you to really, let's be serious now. Let me take all jokes aside. Just imagine how harmful someone like Darkside Phil could be if he actually had influence. Just really think about that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Especially in something as niche as the FGC. Because the FGC, unfortunately, may never get as big as, like, first-person shooters or some of those other genres that do make a whole shitload of money. But, like, I mean, I think they'll eventually get a type of notoriety where it'll be self-sustaining. But they're just not there yet. But just imagine Darkside Phil having the type of influence, anti-influence, but the type of influence that fucking Max does, and was able to actually profit from it. You know what I'm saying? Who had, 2, 3, 4,000 people that showed up to each one of his streams just to hear his complaints on the FGC as a whole, let alone fighting games in general. Like, you know what I'm saying? Just complete anti-establishment. I'd shudder to think of what the FGC would look like in that type of situation, let alone games. That's a horrifying thing. That might make a good what if video, though, that I think about it. I might sit down and think about that.
And that's why I kicked him off the fucking show, It wasn't working. But anyway, yeah, I get what you're saying, but I don't think that level of energy is what we need at all in any of my content. right? Like I could sit here.
I mean, yeah, you're a lazy piece of shit anyway. So yeah, why expect you to do more work? That makes sense. Why expect you to actually enjoy shit outside of money coming in? Gotcha. I roger that.
Acting like a fucking spaz, literally the entire show, every day, all day. But who cares? Not me. You know? So,
And I guess that's all that matters, right? Yeah, it doesn't matter if any of you guys get entertainment out of it. I don't like it. So if I don't like it, none of you guys are getting it. End of story. And that right there, in a lot of ways, explains why DSP people call the Snort Fort over there, or the, you know, his part of the vortex, the Snort Korea. You know what I'm saying? Because literally, if it's not in line with him, then no one gets it. If DSP don't want the sun to shine that day, you guys might as well not even come outside. You know what I'm saying? At all. You guys want fresh water? Sorry. You're gonna have to drink that piss water in the puddle in the fucking gutter and shit because Phil don't feel like doing it. Like, that's Jesus. that's tough. That's tough. That is tough.
you know, the gaming thing, of course. Yeah, that's something that he could never do. You know, he's not a gamer. So he couldn't jump in and do games like I do. He couldn't talk anything about the gaming industry. He's not versed in that shit at all.
How would you know that? And that fucking Andy's probably patched in or tapped in to the fucking gaming, into the gaming industry in a way that you never could be. Like, you know what I'm saying? If it wasn't for Ian Miles Chung, Purple Dragon would still exist. Purple Dragon was incredibly successful during its run. And what, just in case you guys don't know what that is, that was Andy Worski's gaming news channel that he had for a period of time. I want to say he did that either before or after he did Warpath. That's when he left. That's after he stopped Worski Live. Or was that between Worski Live and Warpath? I can't remember now. But it had a really short run, but it was unfortunate because that shit was getting a lot of views. He was getting a lot of attention. He made a lot of connections. He made a shitload of connections. Actually, if you go back and watch some of him and PvP or some of Kino Casino's older videos when they talk about Review Tech USA, Andy actually talks about some of the resources, free resources you can find. Just Google it. Some of the free resources that he was using to generate, to basically, he found a search engine that will generate gaming stories literally minute by minute. And then you just pick and choose what you want. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't difficult. And then, like I said, so he would have a couple things lined up. He would do his videos on it. He would go to bed, go the next morning and whatnot. He could go into the filters, choose what he was looking for, you know, Nintendo, Sony, whatever. And then it will spit out everything that happened, you know, going back over months. But if he wanted just recent things within the last 24 hours, he could get all of it. And even if it was in another language, it would be translated for him and then he could point and go. He said it was super fucking easy. So the reason why I bring that up is because one of the videos they were going over, they were saying Review Tech was like, there's just no gaming news out here, guys. It's just, there's nothing to report on. And Andy was like, you're full of shit. You're full of fucking shit. There's plenty of news out there. He was like, I think Andy said something along the lines, get your fucking head out of your ass on Twitter and actually go over to Google and actually learn how to do some shit. It was compelling, to be honest.
But yeah, maybe.
But see, the thing is Review Tech falls into the same category as DSP. If it isn't already viral because other people have already talked about it, they don't see a need to do it. Because they don't want to be first, because they don't want to be wrong.
You're right. Maybe pro wrestling shouldn't be a dedicated show. Maybe. Okay. All right. You know what? All right. You know what? Maybe we're coming up with a different idea. All right.
I.e., meaning we're going to rehash some failed ass shit that we've already tried to do.
Bear with me for a second here, everyone. How does this sound? All right. This is interesting now. Okay. How about this?
How do you port? Whatever. I don't care.
How about
I already spurred out in the last video over that. Let me stop.
a show that's a variety show? It's not a dedicated podcast like this show where we talk about my schedule and we talk about how stuff went and we talk about gaming news.
Your daily therapy session. We don't even really talk about gaming news anymore. I don't even know why you even bring that shit up.
But instead, it's a variety show. All right. About various different topics. Maybe one day we are covering big game news, but another day we're covering real life news. Maybe one day we're covering politics. Maybe one segment we're talking about pro wrestling. And how about this? Because I actually have my shit together now, I could actually have guests on the show.
Then wouldn't Smart Guys theoretically be easier under those premises or parameters? What the? Let me stop. Let me stop. Let me stop.
From all different walks of life to talk about various topics via Discord.
This is sad. This screams desperation. So let me leave one failing concept to go to another failing concept. Gotcha. I roger that. I mean, I guess this is probably a good time to get the Tractor sock accounts ready and go ahead and sub over there now and whatnot, just in case he actually does it. But now that I think about it, that's even more fucked up. Now that I think about it, it's just another way to inflate the follower account and the sub account on YouTube and Kick, if you think about it. Yikes. That's grimy. That's fucking grimy. Oh well. And funny enough, that's not even an old tactic, because he used that same tactic to get himself over 100,000 followers on Twitch, if you guys remember back that far. So, whatever. I think that's when, well, as it pertains to the Twitch thing, I'm sorry. I think that's when he initiated, like, was it like sub-only mode or whatever? He purposely did that so he could get sock accounts to sub to the channel to get him over 100,000 subs. So, there's that. But trust me, he's not above fraudulent means to get, to get his way.
I like this idea, but we'd have to flesh it out and figure out how to do it, how often to do it, how to put it into the schedule, because this wouldn't be just a podcast.
So figure out if you guys are willing to pay for it, how much money he can milk them for. Gotcha. I roger that.
For an hour, hour and a half. This would be like a actual stream. Like my whole day stream, right, would be this. And I could have various different people joining at different times for different things that are going on.
It's kind of funny because this is really an idea that myself as well as others have already brought up. And it really sounds like he's desperate to try to implement it. That's hilarious. Oh boy, can't do it every week. Can't do it all week though, Phil. You might be able to get away with it, It's between 1 and 3 days, maybe, But truth be told, I think my original idea was he needs to do just a long form podcast during the day and then play whatever little lame ass bullshit game you want to play at night and be done with it, to be honest. And then go from 6 days to 5. That was my original idea. But I mean, maybe he'll do it, maybe he won't, but it don't matter. Probably fail at it anyway. But it's fun to imagine it.
Right? That could be cool. And it wouldn't be the Level 1 podcast. It would be a new show. My podcast would still be my podcast, but there'd be a new show going on. I don't know how often to do it. See, we got to figure this out. Like, how often do you do it? What do you call it? How does it work? Let's talk about this more. I don't want to take too much of the show today because we got to do the Oblivion stuff today. But I like this idea, and I think this is something to discuss and flesh out further. I think it's actually a solid idea to have this kind of variety in my content, okay? Also, it'd be nice if this giant hair lump would go down. So I'm going to go brush it right now because it's driving me nuts.
It doesn't matter. You're going to lose your hair anyway, so either way. One way or another, Phil. One way or another. Oh, man. I gotta say, I didn't even think about clipping this part out. It is what it is. It's probably far more entertaining than anything else we've seen up to this point. It's really, really sad, to be honest with you. But then again, he has no options. He has no options, whatever. He'll grasp at whatever the fuck he can. And because it'll be poorly implemented, because it won't be flushed out, it won't be thought out, because all he's doing is trying to engage to see what they're willing to pay for. He doesn't give a damn about the topics, to be honest with you. If nothing else, they're just going to turn into glorified Q&As. That's pretty much the end-all, be-all of that. It's kind of already structured as such, to be honest. It's just a matter of, do I charge you idiots to pay me? And if he does, now that I think about it, if he does, it just turns into a glorified Ask the King segment. Now that I think about it,
okay,
shut your ass up. It may very well just turn into just another glorified Ask the King. Hey, $20 and your question gets priority and whatever because I don't know if he even has the King of Hate forums anymore. But that might very well be what it turns into. Just a glorified fucking Ask the King segment, I guess. Yikes, man. Yikes. It's probably a good thing he doesn't speak to a detractor. Like I said, he barely walked away with his ass when Broside Phil, I believe that was, when big ups him, when Broside Phil had spoken to him the last time. He barely walked out of that one. So it's probably a good thing he don't speak to a detractor. That's just not a good idea. That's not a good idea.
I'd finally had enough. I was like, I'm going to go whip my hair down. So I did. So hopefully now the hair stays in place and stops popping up like a big puffball. I really need a haircut, but I don't know when we're getting one. My wife takes care of that. So anyway.
I don't know is your wife cutting your hair? Which I had theorized that, you know, is his wife cutting his hair and shit. Because let's be honest, we already know where the beauty shop is that they go, or salon, whatever the fuck. We already know where they're going. So I wonder if that's the case now. But he damn sure isn't taking a pair of clippers to cat. So I don't know. But the fact that she has to plan that shit out is crazy.
All right, I like this idea. Let's flesh this idea out. Let's start talking about it more. All right, let's try to figure out how to do it, how often to do it. I feel like it could definitely work as long as we decide how often to do it. Like if the show is a variety show. So let's say I do the show and it's a 3-hour show. Let's say it starts around 1 p.m. and it goes till 4, right? Well, maybe 1 hour can be wrestling discussion. 1 hour can be news. We get guests in for an hour to talk about
I'm already not liking the way this is formatted because he's trying to exercise far too much control in it, which is only going to be problematic. That was one of the early problems that him and PPP had. You know what I'm saying? Instead of just letting PPP just go off the handle and just go about it the way he wanted to and actually just have an entertaining show and shit, DSP said, oh, it has to hit to this particular time frame and I don't want to go over and this, that, and the third, especially once he got his money. Once DSP gets his money, he's a lot like Wings of Redemption. Once he hits his little, you know, sub goal, or not sub goal, but stream goal, he's gone. Like Wings gets shitted on for that a lot. And truth be told, he was trying to implement something along those lines on Lolcow Live. Hence the reason why that shit's only about an hour and a half, so to speak. A lot of people think it's because Keem wanted to open the day up to all of the additional shows. The reality is, or at least from what I've been told, and I had already kind of theorized it, but it was nice to kind of have someone else to bounce off of who was kind of in the know around that time. Supposedly Wings was bitching and complaining about it shouldn't be so long. And once they hit the goal, you know, a few more minutes and then they should just bounce out. And Boogie and Keem were like, why would we do that? We'll just have a set show that is consistent each and every day or whatever the case may be, and the money will come along. But that's just alleged, though. I can't speak to the validity of the person who told me that, even though they've never lied before, so I don't see why they'd lie to me now. But, you know.
Various topics about things going on the internet. I think that'd be cool. And quite frankly, I think that could actually work because then the entire show isn't dependent on just one thing. People might just like the variety and come to support the show. People might come to, you know, 1 week we know it's wrestling. The wrestling crowd will come by for that week. But then the next week we know it's not. But then a different crowd will. I kind of really like this idea.
It doesn't really work, though, because you don't have the variety audience that you think you do. You really don't. You really don't. And the fact that you keep hanging on to that idea is bullshit. But I'm here for it, though. I'll let you hang yourself. I'm all good with that. But it's not going to work like that. It's definitely not going to work like that. Because you already see that fallacy as it pertains to gaming. As it pertains to, oh, these people come up to support this type of game, and sometimes people support this and this, that, and stop. Stop. It all comes down to usually just 4 people who will support him no matter what. He doesn't have that variety audience he keeps talking about. That shit died out a long time ago. That shit died a long ass time ago. He just can't come to terms with it. The true hallmarks of a coward, by the way. Not being able to accept the reality that's in front of you. And not being willing to change it. That's even more ironic if you think about it. Everybody else needs to change. The world needs to conform, but he won't.
All right. Very nice. Okay. Well, that was a good one. Whoever that tipper was, solid idea. Let's think about this. Let's try to flesh it out. I think this could be a good new idea. The level 2 hot cast.
Nice fake laugh you got there, Phil. But remember, PPP is a phony, is the biggest phony. Keep that in mind.
I mean, obviously, one of the very, very common King's Court, where I sit
Wow, you're still gonna try to eat off the idea that Kina Casino implemented? All right then, whatever. That's original.
on my throne talking about.
And now that you think about it, I think about that because I'm petty as fuck. The level 1 podcast was Keen. The whole King stick was based, or you know what I'm saying, or gimmick was fucking Kino Casino. Like he really can't divulge from either one of those things because he never came up with either one. So he's just completely independent. He's completely dependent on trying to branch off of those two things and see if he can try to make something else. Because he just doesn't have the creativity or imagination to do something on his own. Yikes.
Topics, and I welcome people in as guests to the court to talk about these topics, right? But I mean, that's kind of cliche. I like the idea, but maybe, you know, let's talk about it and figure it out. I don't think level two is stupid. We have to think of something better.
But you're okay with being on level 1. You're okay with being on level 1, but you hate the concept or the idea of level 2. You hate the idea of somehow advancing or progressing. That's amazing. That's amazing. Well said, Phil. Well said. That's what happens when you're a reactionary person and not a proactive person. That's literally the definition of it right there. That's fantastic.
Okay. We have to think of something catchy and interesting. That would work. That would get people excited for this new style of show. Okay?
Holy shit.
Okay.
Embarrassing.
King's Court, maybe. Maybe. We'll see. All right. Absolutely true. Kickapoo says, maybe you can do React content for a segment. You're right.
I called it. Oh, you lazy bastard. It won't work. It won't work. Because just like the last time he tried to do reactionary content, oh, it can't be copyrighted whatsoever. It can't be this, it can't be that. Just in case you guys don't remember, for some, depending on if you guys have followed LTG for any period of time, after he kind of removed himself from the FGC, I would argue that he theoretically got pushed out. And that I can contribute that to people like Ultra David. And what I could go into a whole spiel about that though, and there's a bunch of evidence that kind of proves that. But anyway, he kind of got pushed out, but he kind of did, and whatnot. They just, people like Ultra David didn't like seeing him as anybody of prominence, and there's a various amount of reasons on why that is. But it's neither here nor there. Some of it's valid, but some of it starts to get into some borderline. Anyway, I'll say that for another time. The point being is that when LTG essentially got pushed out of the FGC, or he removed himself, or whatever the fuck you want to call it, he went into reactionary content. He started actually doing reactionary content. He got himself quite a bit of views. Now, how much of those views were botted? Hard to say. But when he started going into that realm on YouTube, he did get he got a huge boost off that. I think honestly, DSP's trying to recreate that. But unlike LTG, who was willing to take a hit on maybe not being able to monetize some of that content to just get into the algorithm, to get a higher sub count, and then get money in other ways, DSP needs to try to just monetize everything, and that's just, it is what it is. So if it starts to become codependent on, hey, let's react to this video to go along with this particular thing, he's going to have problems. Or it's going to expose him. Yet again, let's go back to the fighting game stuff, for example, the FGC shit. Have him react to a match from like Street Fighter 4 or from Super Turbo. Fuck that. Let's go to his alleged bread and butter of Super Turbo and have him react to a match and have him explain to you why it didn't go this way. It doesn't even have to be his match. Anybody's match. Hey, explain what this person did wrong. Explain why this person did right. Explain how someone could correct this. I don't think he can do that. I honestly don't think he has that in him. Actually, I know he doesn't. I know he doesn't have that in him.
Right. That's absolutely correct. We could do that. We could do one segment where we're reacting to things. Yeah, for sure.
And see, he's being stupid. That's not exactly what the person said. What they're saying is, hey, if you're talking about having like these topic-filled type of situations, maybe we could have a couple of videos to coincide with our topics. So instead of, we'll have 1 hour like 1 hour block, I should say, where we're just reacting to shit. That's not what they're asking for. But DSP's a retard, so you don't see that. Instead, let's say we have 3 or 4 topics. Maybe for some of those topics, we could have a video that coincided with it. And then you could still bring in a caller or whatever the fuck, and you could still have some responses. So instead of turning it into a segment in itself, because that's how short-sighted DSP is, it can coincide or coexist with what we're already doing as it pertains to the topic, as it pertains to a guest that you're bringing in, or whoever you're, or whatever interaction you're getting out of the chat, and so on and so forth. See, he can't multitask. He can't multitask. It's all or nothing, essentially, which explains in a lot of ways why he is the failure that he is.
Sure. So we could have reacting, we could have pro wrestling news, we could have other hot topics, we could have politics, we could have guests coming in.
Now, and make it make sense for me, ladies and gentlemen. How is it that we couldn't do any more Smart Guys because it was going to require too much time and too much investment? He couldn't do it. But now he wants to do multiple topics on another show that's going to be, oh, I don't know, about as long as that episode of Smart Guys was, and he's comfortable with that idea. So we can't do all of this work for one particular topic, but we can try to do it for a multitude of topics in the hopes that he can draw money from each group, depending on their point of interest. But remember, he said that was far too much work if it was only for wrestling, if it was only for Smart Guys. But he believes it'll work if he does it with these other things here? Make it make sense?
And to talk about various things. And the thing is, when I have a show like that, I think what'll happen is it'll actually over time.
And the thing is, he don't know anything. That's the problem too. Here's the thing: DSP is completely and utterly obsessed with himself being enamored or being entertained. He doesn't give a fuck about what the rest of y'all think. It's all about him being entertained first. He thinks having variety, having a bunch of different things will keep him from being less bored. And in turn, if he's not bored, if people think that he's excited, or if he's faking an orgasm like his wife does and shit, or like Panda did, so on and so forth, he thinks that people will be motivated to give him money. Here's the problem. DSP doesn't have any range. He legitimately doesn't have any range. Wrestling, scratch that. The FGC, scratch that. The gaming industry as a whole, scratch that. The problems that content creators or streamers deal with, scratch that. So what's he really going to talk about? He don't follow sports. He don't follow music. He doesn't care about the arts, so he's not cultured. What is he really going to talk about? Some old ass shit that he's probably wrong about that someone's going to be able to debunk that's only going to make him look stupid? The only thing he can really talk about is his detractors. At the very end of it, his end all be all, he is very much fallen into the trap that Amberlynn Reed and Chantel have fallen into. Rich too, kinda, and Wings definitely. He only can really talk about his haters. That's the only thing that he's quote unquote versed in. Not well versed, but versed in. He can't speak about anybody else. And even more pathetic than that, he can't speak about anything else. Not just anybody else, but anything else. Watch, you'll see. You'll see. You'll see how quickly the box starts to close in on his ass. Because whoever it is that he's going to try to get him to help prep him for these different subjects or whatever, eventually they're going to get frustrated. Eventually they're going to get tired of him because he's not going to want to follow a format. He's going to want to take what little bit he can absorb and then try to wing the rest of that shit. And he's just going to come out looking stupid. That's why DSP Politics failed. Because he was talking about shit he didn't know about, or he didn't know what he was talking about, I should say. And people were calling him out on it. He was starting to get frustrated about it because he didn't know. Actually, his frustration reminds me a lot of when Foodie Beauty gets called out on bullshit she don't know nothing about. It's almost real. It's very, very similar in how they both react to it. You'll see. You'll see.
Get to the point where people will want to be on the show. Like, hey, I got a topic that I want to talk about on your show, Phil. Let me get on the show and we could, have a discussion about this or that. I think that would work. Okay.
And not to say that you can't have a discussion with someone about a topic that you don't know anything about. The average or normal person can do that. DSP can't, though. DSP can't do that. Not at all. If he can't be the center of attention, or if he can't come across as knowledgeable in a particular subject and someone can outshine his ass, he's going to have a problem with it. That's one of the reasons why Smart Guys with PPP was going to eventually fall out anyway. His ego was eventually going to get the best of his ass, sooner than later. And like I said, DSP will sacrifice money for his ego. That and the Gouty Snake, the Gouty Viper, Snake Eater. He was gonna end up turning on them guys anyway. So that's the real takeaway from the DMs for me, is he was always gonna turn on those guys. He was just hoping to get himself in the best position possible and hopefully be able to milk them for most of their whales and pay pigs. And then he was gonna move off on his own anyway. So sooner than later he was gonna turn on those guys.
All right. Well, there we go. Good idea. More shout outs to do. Final Fighter 87 did a $2 Canadian super chat. Focus on what you're good at, the FGC and fast food.
He's not good at the FGC though. His fast food takes are fucking lukewarm at best.
Again, those could be topics. Absolutely. If something's going on in the realm of the FGC, for sure.
Yeah, we saw how that went. What has Button Check said since that? I haven't even done all those yet, man. Like I have that one video with the gatekeeping that needs to come out. That got pushed to next week. It's already done and everything. It's already uploaded. It just needs to be posted. Or just needs to be published. I have to do the response to Button Check. That's DSP's response to Button Check. To do that. And then I have to do the response that Button Check did. I think DSP had a response after that. I might be able to combo those together though. And that's it. There's nothing else that's really been said after that, because the way it was explained to me is that the conversation wasn't going to go anywhere. And I don't know. And I think Ernesto, I'm not speaking for that man. It doesn't seem like he's really that interested in listening to DSP. He sees DSP as just drama. He's not there to try to build in anything in the FGC. He's really there to tear it down. And I think Ernesto is smart enough to catch that. If not, people around Ernesto or Button Check basically put him on game, and he realized, all right, that's not going to go nowhere. Because that's not what Ernesto's about. He's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he points out concerns and shit that happens in the FGC for sure, but he's not going to pull out anything that's going to force him to pull a video down or anything like that. If you know Ernesto, he has a history of doing that shit. Some of them might have been genuine, meaning that, you know, he really got legal people served on his ass. And I think some of it was just dudes getting emotional over some shit, and they were like, you know, hey, take that down. And from a journalistic standpoint, you kind of need to be able to draw a line on that, but, you know, he's got to do he's got to do what he needs to do for his and his own. So it is what it is.
What if I could get people who I'm friendly with from the FGC or back in the day on as a guest? And
not to call Ernesto a journalist. Let me not put that out there. He's just someone that goes over, you know, FGC news. He's not the only person and whatever, but if he was to call himself a journalist, that might be something he should take into consideration. You can't appease everybody.
Have a conversation about the old days of the FGC and how fun it was back then, but also how smash mouth shit talking it was.
But how were you going to say it was so fun back then when you said that those West Coast boys did all this bullshit, the Cannon brothers held you down and shit, all the cheating and manipulation? You see how we just changed? Like, we just memory hole shit? And the thing is it's clear that you're lying. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'll take my ass to fucking Pig Go right now on top of what I can remember for sure. And I can put a collage together. I probably need like a day or two. But I can put a collage together for sure of all the times he ain't taking knocks at the FGC. It didn't sound all fun and fucking cool back then when he was doing that shit, but now it is. Gotcha. Also the Gouty Viper can go ahead and lure his next victim in.
Right? That could work. Legos return tomorrow. Legos return tomorrow night. It's the late night stream tomorrow night. My late stream is a Lego night building the Piranha Plant Lego. And I'm going to try to pre-order the Switch 2 live.
Okay, I haven't made a video on this yet, but I wanted to. I'm going to do it now. Well, I don't know if I'm going to do it. I'll do it after the fact. You know how I do. I'm going to do it, but it probably just won't get posted anytime soon. He's honestly this is honestly a con. Like, peep game on this shit. So this idiot right here is going to sit there and try to pre-order a Switch 2 live and hope that he gets it. Here's the reality. He's more than likely not going to get it. But what may happen is someone in his audience might actually do it. And they might actually get it. And they may be like, hey, Phil, you know, man, I'm sorry that you couldn't get it, this, that, and the third. Well, I was able to get an extra one, Phil. So, you know what I'm saying? Don't worry about it. I'll take care of it, and I'll have it sent to you, or I'll send it to you when it happens. Phil has tried this scam before, and it actually worked. Not necessarily from a pre-order standpoint, per se, but he's kind of done, if you know Phil's history when it comes to game consoles, he's done some snakish ass shit over the past and shit. Snake Eater. He's done some snakish type shit, some sus shit in the past when it comes to new consoles. I don't think that's anything different. And then peep game on this. Review Tech USA's dumbass is going to try to do the exact same thing. He's going to stream around the same time, and he's going to also try to get a pre-order in. And I could see somebody in his audience also doing the same thing if Rich can't pull it. So don't, it is what it is. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's a bunch of venues that they can go to. There's a possible chance that they can get it. But if they don't, at least for DSP, I don't know about Rich so much, but for DSP, don't be surprised if someone comes in the clutch and says, don't worry, Phil, or like it'll be the next day or the day after or in the week after. Hey, Phil, don't worry about it. I have another one and whatnot. I'll be able to send it to you. I got you. Don't worry, Phil. I don't want you to be left behind. You know what I'm saying? I don't want you to go without, Phil. You know what I'm saying? We'll see. But that's my thoughts, though.
The pre-orders go live at 9 p.m. So during that stream, I'm going to attempt to get Switch 2 pre-orders. We'll see how that goes. Okay. Hello, Voltage. $2 super chat. Kicking it with the king. Kicking it with the king? I don't really say kicking it.
Yeah, that's that urban language. We don't speak that shit. So you need to, whoever that was, you should know better. We don't talk that urban language, that stationary language, basketball, American shit. We don't do that.
Hanging with the king. I was like hanging with Mr. Cooper.
Oh wow, oh wow, Phil, you actually proved my point. You're a dumbass, Phil. I need to stop doing this shit. I know you too damn well. You're a dumbass, Phil. You should have said that. You should have said, nah, that's not my style, and just left it at that. Nope. Immediately go to a black guy. Gotcha. Well done, Phil. Well done. And they say that racism is alive and well. Not as if there isn't anybody who it's not that only black folk or colored folk or whatever the fuck you want to call say that. You know what I'm saying? But in Phil's day, if it was all white, it was all right.
That could work. Legos return tomorrow. Legos return tomorrow night. It's the late night stream tomorrow night. My late stream is a Lego night building the Piranha Plant Lego. And I'm going to try to pre-order the Switch 2 live because the pre-orders go live at 9 p.m. So during that stream, I'm going to attempt to get Switch 2 pre-orders. We'll see how that goes. Okay. Hello, Voltage. $2 super chat. Kicking it with the king. Kicking it with the king? I don't really say kicking it. Hanging with the king? I was like hanging with Mr. Cooper. I don't know. All right, we're at $50 of support so far today. Thank you guys for the early support. Okay. I got a $2 tip.
Sometime today, Phil.
So someone tipped $2 and says, you talk about diversifying content, but you have been trying to diversify your content and really nothing is really sticking. So they're saying DS Politics. DS Politics, I feel, was a misstep because I did it too early. I think that if I'd done DS...
That's not true. But, I mean, it was going to fail no matter what. But I thought you wanted to be a front runner right before the elections and shit. Now you want to... Well, let him finish and shit. I kind of already have it in my head what he's going to say, though.
Politics. After Trump won the election and became president, it would have worked. I did it too early. I jumped the gun.
No, you didn't. What he did was he was trying to hedge his bet just in case Trump didn't win. He could be on the winning side or whatever. And keep in mind, though, too, with that whole DSP politics bullshit, which is exactly what it was bullshit, he didn't actually pick a side. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's more than likely leans to the right, but it doesn't matter. I'm not going to make this about politics. But the point being is that the reality is he just didn't want to be on the losing side of it. That's really what it came down to. And more importantly, he, in fence-sitter fashion, he wanted to be able to bash everybody. He thought there is a market for that, don't get me wrong. He's just not good at it. And you got to be knowledgeable of both sides of the spectrum so you can criticize them. You know what I'm saying? Philly doesn't know how to do that shit. He reacts to dumb shit. He doesn't actually fucking do any real research. So he was hoping that he could just criticize both sides and he would come out the winner. And that wasn't going to work. And he just didn't know anything. He didn't know enough to hold a conversation, let alone, you know what I'm saying, fucking conjure up a point. He did himself wrong, to be honest. But he's good for that.
And because of that, the show didn't work. So I think it was the timing, and maybe one day I can go back to that, or maybe I could go to it as a topic of a variety show. DSP throwback. No, throwback stuff works. When like the retro react streams and stuff, they work.
No, that was also a scam. He fucking did that bullshit to try to get all of his older playthroughs of well-loved games back into the algorithm, and that failed miserably too. And like, it was clear that that was going to fail. So let's go ahead and not be delusional about that bullshit. Does he even upload on DSP Throwbacks anymore? Is that even a thing? If it was so successful, why'd you stop? If he stopped, of course.
And the throwback content worked for what it was. I restored the missing playthroughs. So that stuff did work. Okay. I would like to go back.
Look at how desperate he is to defend it. If it really worked, he doesn't have to say that it worked. It should be able to stand on its own. Womp womp.
Possibly to do the retro react nights at some point. Lego streams worked. All the Lego streams I've done, we hit goals, and we're going to do another one starting tomorrow night.
Yeah, that's going to fizzle out and get old eventually.
Okay. And now Smart Guys. Smart Guys, I would argue, out of everything you just described, was the most work. That's why I'm upset, because Smart Guys literally is so much investment of time to watch the wrestling and get the show working, as opposed to everything else. Like,
but remember, if you're a fan, you don't look at it like that. If you're even someone who does it casually, you don't look at it like that. You're just giving an opinion on something that you saw, which makes you think this whole variety react show bullshit that he's trying to formulate is going to fail too.
Like the politics stuff, all I had to do was follow politics over the week, grab some stories, and the night before, get the screen captures or things ready.
So basically, see what's trending on Twitter and shit, grab the screenshots or whatever, or grab the videos that were coinciding with that tweet, and then react to it. See how easy that was?
It wasn't that huge of a deal. You know, the wrestling is actually the most time-consuming thing. So,
and imagine that how long DSP politics lasted compared to fucking Smart Guys. Actually, no, I think about it, I'm not even sure how long fucking DSP politics existed or lasted. It wasn't long, that's for sure.
Anyway, I feel like these ideas work. The problem is they just don't work as a dedicated thing. I think the idea of a variety show will work. I'm serious. Like, now I think about how we've been doing it and the fact that it kind of petered out. Everything worked at first, but then when it became a regular thing that wasn't special, that's when...
That's the problem, too. If you have to rely on everything you do being special to keep it relevant and keep it going, you've already fucked up. Now, I also wonder, this is me just being petty for the sake of being petty, you know, there's a lot of special people in his audience. So I wonder if that's something that he's also drawing upon, or is that a parallel that he's trying to make? I don't know. I don't know. This shit's starting to get fucking more and more weird by the day. But to say something failed because it's not special anymore, it sounds like cope. It sounds like a massive amount of cope. It sounds like someone who never had any real confidence in it anyway, and is relying on perception than actual depth, which means it's not actually meaningful. But maybe I'm overthinking it. Wouldn't be my first time doing that.
It kind of failed. So instead of it just being the same thing every week, Smart Guys, every week, DS Politics, instead, do a variety show where you can have segments about each thing each week, and that way there's a little something for everyone. You know, to be honest, why am I still around after 17 plus years?
Because you don't have any other choices and you don't have any other options. On top of that, you're detractors, trolls, haters, and critics. I got to be completely honest and say that that's literally the only reason why he's able to hobble his fucking hooves as far as he's been able to hobble, to be honest. And so, does that mean I'm completely subscribed to the idea or to the thought process that if he didn't have detractors, trolls, haters, and critics, he'd be done and dusted? No, I can't say that, because there'll always be a detractor, troll, hater, or critic that will exist. It's just the reality of it. You know what I'm saying? It's just how it works. But that's probably one of the fundamental reasons why, to be honest with you. If not, he would exist in the same way that Wings exists. You know what I'm saying? And you see how that is. Like, he's, you know, outside of, what does Kelly really bring to the table besides her medical insurance? Well, that and the fact that she actually loves him. But you saw where that got her. So, you know, I don't know how much that's really worth. And then allegedly she might actually be really, really sick and whatnot. And, you know, they don't know where that's going to go. So that's a thing. So, you know, maybe that table push, maybe that really wasn't worth it. Maybe that smack in the fucking truck, maybe that really wasn't worth it. But, you know, because it's not like she just got sick. She might have been sick for a while. And you still felt comfortable treating her that way, Wings? All right, Jordy. All righty, buddy.
I'm a variety streamer. Get it? I don't just play one kind of game. I kind of play everything.
And yet you fail at everything. Imagine that.
So maybe the road to success isn't Smark.
What do you know about success? Stop talking about that. You don't really get a right to talk about success. You can't say that word. You shouldn't be allowed to snort that. That's not fair. That's not right.
Guys, DS politics, this, but instead, one super show where you do a little bit of everything.
One super show. And that goes back to what Howard had said about DSP treats his channel like it's WWE and shit. And everything has to be a spectacle, a stage for the immortals and all that. That's literally what he is. You know what I'm saying? He's a massive fucking hype beast, fucking throat goat and shit. And he's really nothing more than that. There's nothing to him. That's why he sponges up everything around him, essentially, even if he hates it. You know what I'm saying? If it's more than what he is, he has to somehow take it in. You know what? What's that movie called? That John Carpenter shit. The Thing. That's kind of what he is. He kind of tries to assimilate everything. You know what I'm saying? To kind of make his way to get his way. The only problem is, the fundamental problem is he's not a perfect copy. Look at what he does now. He hates PPP so damn much, but he emulates everything PPP does, even to now. He's literally like the Thing. The only thing is he's not a perfect copy. What's the fucking fundamental flaw of that shit? I've watched that movie so many goddamn times. He can't, well, in the sequel, I should say, or the prequel, the 2011 joint, that guy had like a plate in his elbow, I think it was, or in his arm, and the Thing couldn't assimilate that, and I think it was like fillings, like molars and shit. It couldn't assimilate either. Now I can't remember if they said that it couldn't copy. I don't think it could copy anything that's foreign of the human body, because I've always wondered if you had porcelain fillings, could it do that? But I don't think it can, because it doesn't matter. It's not. Yet again, it's not native to the human body, so it can't assimilate it. Anyway, sorry, I'm just going off on some dumb shit. The point being is that DSP is just that. He just tries to assimilate, he tries to copy, he tries to imitate everything around him, hoping that he can just get off on that. But the funny thing is he can't. He fails at it miserably. That's why he's so pissed off at his detractors, trolls, haters, and critics. Because how is it that these people can build names off themselves, make money off of him, and so on and so forth, and yet he can't? DSP can barely make money off of himself anymore. He damn sure can't make money off of his own content. You know what I'm saying? He's completely and utterly reliant on you being invested in him to be able to profit. DSP does not make money off of what he does. You know what I'm saying? He makes profit off of, or not who he is, I should say, but off of what he does. And what he does is he begs. End of story.
Keeps it fresh. Maybe 1 week we're reacting.
And it's funny because if you have to keep going to, if you have to rely on stuff being new, being exciting, being a surprise, being fresh, it sounds to me like you're boring. That's what it sounds like. It sounds like there's not a whole lot of substance to you. It sounds to me like you don't have a whole lot of range. And maybe that's why you're so desperate to try to find the next new thing to do. Makes you think. This is the same guy, though, who criticizes other content creators and other streamers for wanting to play the hot new game that's trending, that's a fad, you know what I mean, that's popping at that time and whatnot. Sorry for that urban term, Phil. I know you don't like that. But, you know, what's popping at the time. And then they move on to the next hot game and shit. But this is the same idiot who will literally quit playthroughs if it doesn't make him enough money daily. And he'll do it on a whim. But he criticizes streamers, allegedly, other streamers who do the exact same thing. Make that make sense.
To clips on the internet that people wanted me to watch and react to. And then maybe another week we're actually talking about pro wrestling. And then all of a sudden there's politics. And then someone calls in and we get into a discussion about stuff, right? Cracker Jacks, I'll see you later. Thanks for hanging out, man.
Drinking flavored water, salsa water like it's coffee. That shit annoys me to no end. Holy shit, that annoys me to no fucking end.
Okay. Well, interesting stuff, no? All right. I like this idea. Let's flesh it out. Let's talk more about it. Because the thing is, I like the Level 1 podcast. This is the show where we talk and we have this interactive stuff and we figure this out. If I didn't have the Level 1 podcast, we would have never even had this idea.
If you didn't have the level 1 podcast, you'd be forced to actually play games for longer, and you slowly don't want. And it's clear you don't want to do that. And like I said, I've been saying that. Other people have been saying it too. That's why the fucking Bottom Bitch podcast has been extending longer and longer over the years. He's been trying to fucking get himself out of playing games for less and less time. There was a time where during the day he had to play games. I'm gonna say he had to play because that's how he treats it. So that's how I'm gonna address it. He had to play games for like 4.5 hours. Now, you know what I'm saying? He's closer to like 3.5, maybe, in change, if that. So trust me, he's going out of his way to make sure that he's not, you know what I'm saying, he's not giving you guys full gameplays and shit. And as far as I see it, the what's it called, the pre-stream or a pre-stream is starting to show up on the night streams again, which was a thing for a long ass time. You were guaranteed to get like a 30-45 minute pre-stream out his ass before he played whatever the night game was or the evening game or whatever the fuck. So trust me, he's already trying to figure it out because games aren't carrying him. You know what I'm saying? And that's the problem. It's not that the games are bad. They just don't carry him.
You see, that's why this show is so important to me. When idiots say, oh, the podcast is a waste of time, blah, blah, blah. Like, no,
it is. It is. Even though that's the majority of the shit that I go over because his gameplay is trash. Holy fuck, his gameplay is trash. And whatnot. The fighting game stuff is definitely funny to laugh at, though. Oh, holy fuck, the mistakes that are always made in that bitch. But it's trash, though. Fucking podcast is trash. That literally has that dude, unless that dude is talking about some drama shit or some ignorant ass shit that he clearly knows nothing about. Other than that, there's no real value to it. He's not conveying a message. He's just trying to take up space. He's trying to waste time.
you idiot. This actually has a huge purpose. This show is great for what it does, for everything. We've come up with so
everything, but not everybody. It's all in the language, ladies and gentlemen. It's all in the language.
many great ideas. We work out goals. We do all kinds of fun stuff on this show every day. That's why it's worthwhile.
So your own personal sweatshop. Gotcha. I roger that. You know what I'm saying? Because maybe you're not comfortable with me pointing out that you treat these guys like slaves and serfs and shit. So I'll step away from the plantation stuff for a minute. Let's go ahead and talk about sweatshops. That's essentially what that is. You know what I'm saying? You're on that OVO Drake type shit, waiting for the next dent to go ahead and present you a hit. But then the dent that ends up getting away, he ends up going off and making a name for himself, and now you mad at it. Holy shit. Not that I want to call it The Weeknd a dent, because I don't want to call him that. But it's like that shit with The Weeknd and Drake, right? When he was under in the Drake sweatshop, when he was under Drake's thumb, he was cranking out Daddy Drake a bunch of hits. The moment that boy once that man ain't sat there and stepped off and done his own thing and be his own man instead of being this dude's boy. And essentially now he's doing all this shit on his own, and Drake's been pissed off ever since. If you guys remember, not too long, it was only like last year when that shootout happened in front of the fucking Weeknd's house or one of his homes out there in Canada. And then not long after, Drake had a shootout in front of his crib. So there you go. Oh, sorry about that, Phil. I know you don't like that language. Sorry. In front of his home, his estate, Phil, if that makes you feel better. It's like that. Holy shit, it's like that. And now look at, what's that guy's name? PWR or whatever. He's literally Phil's Weeknd, who went off and done his own thing or whatever. And when I'm not sold on that whole narrative over there. But, you know what I'm saying? He's succeeding, so good on him. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully it works out.
Okay. So I don't want this to go away, but I definitely can see a variety show working in the long term. But look at this different thing. Off the cuff. What was the other one? The King's Cut. Hello Voltage at a $2 super chat. What about the King's Cut? Interesting. Any other ideas?
Oh, how about you come up with one on your own? You should call it the King's Take, to be honest with you, because that's all you're doing is taking and taking and taking.
Oh, excuse me. The Positive Meaningful Content Podcast. Would I be open to having randoms call in? I don't know about that.
No, not at all. You can already see the fear setting in.
The problem is, having randoms call in, they could get me banned off YouTube.
Oh, yes, they can get you banned off YouTube. No, he's worried about getting demonetized, as he should be, to be honest with you. DSP tells you banned because it's easy for him to say that. The reality is he's scared of being demonetized, and he should. He should, to be honest with you. I've been preaching that shit for a bit. He should be, him and Wings need to be scared of getting demonetized because they didn't get banned off of Twitch. Not in the end. In the end, they sat there and got demonetized. Now, of course, that's still a thing. Actually, I wonder if that's going to be implemented in May. May or June is when Twitch is going to roll out that thing where everybody can get monetized now. At least at a base level. And then, like I said, they're going to have to redo the affiliate and the partner program over there on Twitch now if they decide to go with that. Anyway, here's the point. They didn't get kicked off the site. They got demonetized. So that's what people like Wings and DSP are worried about, which I don't really understand why, because DSP is going to collect his tips through PayPal anyway, because not to give people ideas, but it's probably pretty strenuous to try to go at PayPal to kind of drop Phil. It's probably a pretty daunting task. And for Wings, I'm pretty sure he collects his tips through PayPal too, because I don't think he goes through Streamlabs or Stream Elements if he hasn't been booted off of those things. I'm sure he could go back now. I'm sure DSP could go back to that too if he wanted, but he don't. But they have ways of collecting tips. It doesn't matter what the platform is. So,
Like a random could call in and say the N-word 17 times live. So you can't. It has to be screened, just like any show.
I mean, unless you're really just cognitively slow and you could, after he said it the first time, you couldn't stop him or just mute his ass. What? Hey, he's the one who put it out there, not me. I mean, he's retarded, but you know what I'm saying? He's the one who's saying that he wouldn't be able to act. Maybe he likes hearing the N-word.
On the radio, you also have to have your show screened. You know what I'm saying? You can't just have it be wild and open. It's too much of a risk.
And see, that's where the problem comes into play too. Watch me work. Basically, he's talking about just having the same old guests on and shit. No real diversity or whatever. Just take the few people that he can find that are safe. Let's say out of 12 people, he pulls like 6 people. And that's it. It's just going to be the same 6 people over and over and over again. And that'll be that. So then he's going to be codependent. He's going to be incredibly dependent on all of the subjects being new or all the topics being new and different and this, that, and the third. So each one of them can react to it differently. Because that's it. You know what I'm saying? And I think the number 6 is probably even too big for him. He probably is only looking for like 3 or 4 people that he can have as a revolving or a reoccurring guest on the show. I honestly don't think he wants anything more than that. You know what I'm saying? So let's say hypothetically between 2 and 4 people that are just safe. He knows aren't going to fucking go rogue on his ass, who are probably dense, who give him money anyway, this, that, and third. There's nobody in the FGC that's really going to speak to him and whatnot. If he could get Arturo up there, I'd be surprised, but I don't think so. Not the way Arturo's moving these days. That's not going to work. So that's going to hurt Arturo even more and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? Especially after that situation with Dominion, that situation with him siding with Infiltration, and then all the other stuff that's going on. I'll get into that later. But yeah, I would say, so whoever those 2 to 4 people are going to be trusted dense, similar to Cypress, and they're probably going to be boring and they're probably going to be lame. But yet again, he's going to try to make himself another PWR. So, you know what I'm saying? It is what it is.
You know? Like Ralph? No, Ralph would just say the F word. We've been there, done that already. No, I'm not playing the new Fatal Fury game. I have 0 interest.
Yeah, he definitely don't want to be exposed for a combo dummy on that shit. Have you seen some of the shit about that shit on Twitter? Holy fuck, bro. Literally, not literally, but almost everything is one-touch death. You know what I'm saying? Almost. That shit's kind of sick. That shit is kind of sick. Looks fun, though.
All right. Anyway, good ideas. Let's continue to talk about this and flesh it out further. Let's discuss it further this week on the podcast. The idea of a variety show where we talk about a variety of topics depending on what's actually hot and going on at the time. And we see where the conversation.
I mean, the topic doesn't have to be hot or relevant at that particular. Well, it doesn't have to be. Yeah, it doesn't have to be hot at that time to be relevant. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you don't have to speak on something that happened Monday. Like, you know what I'm saying? You can speak on it on Friday and it probably hold just as much interest. You know what I'm saying? or you can give a different perspective. Let me stop. That's my frame of thinking. But it doesn't have to always be that way. And it's funny that someone who is looking to chase things that are hot, in the know, relevant at that time, but yet he don't want to play games when they come out, right? You don't want to talk about gaming news when it comes out that day and it's trending all over the place. You don't ever want to do any of that. But he thinks this variety show, this knockoff, fake-ass concept of a podcast is going to blow up. Or it's going to even be remotely relevant. All right. Make that make sense.
Station takes us. There's some scheduled guests. There's some maybe random guests off the cuff. And it could be an interesting thing. And it's not just dedicated to one topic. Therefore, it won't get stale or boring like the other efforts that I've tried. Okay. This is actually starting to sound good.
It should sound retarded because given how he executed DSP politics, you know how many different ways and the different avenues you can take politics? And he somehow fucked it all up. He could barely get his local politics right, let alone national. And he damn sure was too scared to go global. Semantics.
We'd have to figure out when to do it, how often to do it, what to call it. A lot of things to figure out. Okay. And again, I want to emphasize that everything that I've done up to now has not been a waste of time. Why? Because each thing that I've done I've learned a little more, right? If it wasn't for me doing DS politics and stuff like that, I wouldn't have learned the ins and outs of how to operate a show with segments that you cut between. If it wasn't for Smart Guys, I wouldn't have learned how to use Discord properly, and I wouldn't have upgraded my setup to the point where I'm using headphones and I could switch between it on the fly. I would have never had that. So,
I mean, that shows a shortcoming on your part. Like that shows a shortcoming on your part. So basically, you're admitting that you're willing to do the bare minimum as long as you get what you want out of it. You're not actually willing to learn anything. You're willing to emulate or do just enough to get by. I roger that, Phil. I've been saying that for years. I roger that, though, Phil.
all this is leading towards something better. I feel we're getting there. We're almost to the point of finding that right thing that's going to work.
Legitimately, the false prophet. We're gonna get to the promised land. I promise you. I promise you. I'm gonna get y'all to the promised land. I promise you, this great paradise waiting for y'all. I swear it. I swear it on everything. Yeah, we just gotta go a little further. Just a little further. Shut your dumb ass up. Absolutely fucking ridiculous. Sorry for that spur Gout. Absolutely fucking ridiculous.
Actually starting to sound good. We'd have to figure out when to do it, how often to do it, what to call it. A lot of things to figure out. Okay. And again, I want to emphasize that everything that I've done up to now has not been a waste of time. Why? Because each thing that I've done I've learned a little more, right? If it wasn't for me doing DS politics and stuff like that, I wouldn't have learned the ins and outs of how to operate a show with segments that you cut between. If it wasn't for Smart Guys, I wouldn't have learned how to use Discord properly, and I wouldn't have upgraded my setup to the point where I'm using headphones and I could switch between it on the fly. I would have never had that. So all this is leading towards something better, I feel. We're getting there. We're almost to the point of finding that right thing that's going to work, you know? Oh my God, no, this is ridiculous. Someone did $2 tip and says, once a week, bring a guest on, teach them how to play a fighting game. Eventually, we'll have a tournament. Your disciples will battle it out for the king's favor called the King's Arena. That's too ridiculous. Plus, it's very hard to teach someone how to play a game from scratch if they don't have a proper background. And it's
Well, that literally doesn't make any sense because he can't play he barely can play any new games that he can reference to something else properly. On top of that, if they did have a background in fighting games, why would they go to you? Because clearly, public and social census says that Darkside Phil is not someone you should be going to learn anything, if anything else, and whatnot. Like, that doesn't even make a whole lot of sense. Truth be told, DSP can't teach you anything. That's the reality of it. He can't teach you anything. He can absorb enough to get himself by and then eventually teeter and, fall out. But he can't demonstrate or take any of that, and he can't exercise any of that, or he can't mold that in any type of cohesive way that he can pass that on to someone else. That's why he was so heavily reliant on Dial-A-Phone until he saw all them comments under his comment, and then he deleted it and whatnot, which he did that, and I mean this when I say this. DSP deleted his comment under that Dial-A-Phone video because he was trying to sabotage that Dial-A-Phone video, because he had like 150, maybe 160 plus comments under his. So he thought he could stifle the video if he got rid of it, and he didn't. You know what I'm saying? But that shows you how petty DSP is. That's not his video. That's fucking Dial-A-Phone's video. Your dumbass was the one decided to go up there and let yourself be known. You should have just kept your mouth shut. Shouldn't have said anything. Shouldn't have laid a comment out there. But truth be told, it would have shown more about your character if you had let it stay up there than otherwise. All you did is show that you're the fucking mental midget monkey bitch that everybody tells you are. Soft in the ass all day. Fucking dryer sheet will fucking cut his ass right open. That's all you proved. Dial-A-Phone saw that just like all the other dudes in the FGC saw that. You're straight coward. And no one has time for that.
It's too time consuming. Like, if I had one person I was teaching how to play Street Fighter, I could do it. I can't teach 10 people. That would take like weeks and weeks of work. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not
weeks and weeks of work. That's great. Not trying to better or enrich his audience, I should say, for fighting games. He's not trying to do all that shit. That's just a bunch of work on his part. And where's the money going to come from, dumbass? How are you guys going to pay me for that? How are you going to compensate me for my time? That's what he's saying.
not even, you know, known in the FGC anymore. No one cares. I don't think.
And who said anything about the FGC? That we was talking about people in your own audience, in your own community. Unless they're all peons, of course, and then that doesn't really matter. I didn't say it, he did.
That would really work, just being honest.
And yet again, he can barely learn himself, so how's he going to teach anything? That's the reason why when he's playing his game, when he's losing at his games, I should say, he can't tell you why he lost. He can't tell you why he's losing. He can't point out his mistakes, but he can point out that every opponent's cheating, or they're pattern players, or they're flowchart players, or they know how to abuse the lag, or the rollback, or the cannons still hate him, and they're going out of their way to somehow fuck him over years and years after the fact. You can run the gambit on that bullshit. You can literally run the Gouty gambit on that bullshit. And he'll literally give you every fucking reason under the sun. He'll never ever say that he's ever outplayed, unless the match is so close to where he feels like he has to give that person credit. Other than that, like, you can't say shit about Smooth Cat and VDO. Those guys are just clearly heads and shoulders above his ass. But he just can't do nothing about that. He's got to eat that shit. Even though he did try to say that, I don't know if it was for Smooth Cat, but I think it was for VDO. He tried to say that DSP felt like his connections was having problems. So it's him kind of taking a jab saying, VDO's internet isn't great. That's funny. I've seen other matches of VDO, though, and they don't seem to be the problem. Truth be told, DSP has a track record of the internet on his end, minus the Comcast guy, being an issue on his own part. Going back to the, what was that, the Mario Golf situation, if I remember correctly. One of the guys that was in that game said that when DSP popped up in there, that's when when all the lag and shit showed up. So he literally has a track record, of being the problem. Whatever, take it for what you will.
Okay. All right, folks. So, what's going on today? Well, I'm either playing Oblivion on this stream or tonight. I'm still undecided. I'm going to be honest. I would prefer to do Blueprints now because I know we have an audience for it who wanted to attend it on the...
Didn't hit the goal, by the way. So I think I left this in because I want you to hear his business acumen at work.
Stream and support it, and they're going to be disappointed if we end up swapping streams and they can't attend tonight.
And I don't think he hit the goal on Oblivion either. He may have, but I don't remember it. It was a struggle session either which way.
Oblivion, I already said to everyone I was going to probably play tonight if it launched. So we already have people who are probably lined up to attend tonight on the late stream. And then we can see for ourselves if it's any good, if you guys want me to continue it or just do the one-off stream. So we'll figure this out by the end of the show, all right? But what I'd like to do is actually take a look at the announcement. So this morning, Bethesda did this whole big presentation. We're not going to look at the entire presentation because, quite frankly, it's very lengthy and it would take too long.
And that's why I'm not listening to you. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen. All right. Oh, that's the end of that. That's the end of that. So we stepped out of one failed project, being Project 7, to basically fall into another one. That's fucking crazy. Big ups to Raw Phil and whatnot. Very much appreciate it. And Boy, oh boy. Let's do some tip Snort. Yeah. Let's do some tip Snort. All right. Oof, holy shit. And big ups to Chio, 18. All right, so final thoughts, ladies and gentlemen. Failure. Failure as far as the eye can see. The step out of one failed project just to step into another shouldn't surprise anybody. Him admitting that Smart Guys wasn't shit, but yet again he threw away the last vestige, the last pieces, the last bits, I guess, of his friendship with John, for not willing to go back and do business with him. I think speaks a lot. I think that the React show, which is all this is, it's just DSP Reacts 2.0, isn't going to last long, or it's not going to do well. I guess it doesn't matter whether it lasts long or not. It just won't do well. I don't think, especially if you have to vet everybody. You're too scared, you're too comfortable, and you only want to talk to certain people and not other people. That's probably not going to work too much longer on that. He's just completely and utterly unprepared for the demand that he's putting on people, and the expectation too. I think, to be honest with you, the fact that it took this mongoloid this long to fucking get Discord and OBS to run properly individually, as well as now in sync together, just goes to show exactly how inept Darkside Phil is. And it also really proves that no matter what he does, he'll always fail. It's written in the stars, to be honest with you. It's written in the fucking stars, which is fantastic when you think about that shit in hindsight. And that's that. I'm here for it. We'll see how it goes and whatnot. Like I said, I'm sure he's going to put it off for weeks trying to hype it up, just like he did with Smart Guys. And then, we'll see who he pulls up there. Because whoever, if you're going to expose more dents to the ecosystem, they're going to put their faces out there or their voices or whatever. Go ahead. That's a suicide mission for any dent, to be honest with you. It does also open up, though, for a troll to get in there under a new name and see how far they can take it. We'll see. Godspeed on that. And for everybody else, it'll be something to laugh at for a day or two, and then we move on till the next week. So I'm not saying that you should revel in DSP's failure, but I'm not going to blame you if you do. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for listening in. I very much appreciate it. And I will catch you guys for the next one of these, whenever that may be, hopefully sooner than later. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been the Snort Report. This has been DSP News. Always late, never breaking. Unreliable coverage that you can't count on. Oh, yes! A GTG Network of Productions. For Tim Snortons, for the Snort Report, for SnortBucks Coffee Company, for Hard Snorts Gin and Tonic, and for all of our other subsidiaries, partners, and affiliates, I have been your host/anchor, GTG, and I'm signing off. Take care of yourselves, people. Holy shit. Take care of yourselves, people. Later.